Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. I had a little trouble with my sound. I think I just lost Warhorse here, and if he's out there, he can, come back in live. Let me resend a few invitations here. There was a notice in my hangout section that the bandwidth was too short. So if you had a problem getting into Warhorse, let's uh, let's get you can get back in. I'll resend you the notice. And looks like Zeta's not going to be here. He's probably busy. Zeta's got a little bit to do on some days, and this is a busy month for him. But we'll see if we can get some guys in here and actually have somebody to talk to. So let's talk about what happened in the manosphere today, or this week. It's been a little hectic. We have IBOR, IBMOR, IBMRR that's starting, and I think that's a good thing. I don't know what quite to think about it, but I do think it's a good thing. It grows the size of Mgtow, and that could never be a bad thing. So let's see if we can find Warhorse here. Shining, hello, Shining.
Greetings, brother.
Oh, good. How you doing? I had a little problem with my audio, and it kind of everything went out.
Well, I'm hearing you loud and clear at the moment.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it said I had low bandwidth or something, and Warhorse came in and he couldn't hear me.
It
I
sounds
don't.
like your internet is choked.
Yeah, my internet. You know what it was? It was probably catched, and I was just looking at a catched board.
You mean cached or?
Yeah, cached. Yeah.
So anyway, I think you was mentioning something about this week's events in the manosphere, the blessed manosphere.
Yeah, yeah. It was an interesting week. I what is that? Ibmore started.
Ibmore.
Ibmore.
Started by Adagan Forrest. Looking forward to speaking to him next week. Inshallah, you can all join me for that. It should be interesting. I've not spoken to Adagan before. All of you that are veteran to Mgtow will recognise that name. I think, yeah, you know, you're a veteran. You know Adagan.
Yeah, I think I've seen his name around. I don't know if I've actually ever talked to him. I don't think I've actually ever talked to him, but it will be interesting. And
Yeah, he was around before the Hangouts was fully was like doing the rounds. So he will be on with his friend Oracle Versus. I've been obviously keeping my eyes and ears on the news. Hopefully, we'll expand on it a bit more. But as you guys might have known, there's been a few more shootings, a few more incidences. Yeah, stemming all the way back from Ferguson and before that. So that spurred on a bit more of the racial tension going on over there in the States.
yeah, it's basically in the South, and we had some incidents in New Jersey and New York and around that eastern New England area, and it's just gone way out of control. And how do you retrain police officers?
I don't know, because were the police always like this, or is it because I sort of got a feeling, you know, listening around, listening to the various channels, that due to the fact that these people, they've come from very like paranoid, but like some of them, they've been ex-military, so they've just come back from Iraq war, where they've been like programmed to be quite nationalistic. So it's like
Yeah.
America versus, is like us versus them, and they've like sort of brought it back on with them. That could be you know, aside of it. And then, of course, there's the war on terror as well,
Yeah,
where they're charging people up to you know, to have this prejudice against Arabs or Muslims. So there's that too, and obviously the racial tension's been going on, you know, for some time.
for some time. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's a good idea to be bringing military veterans into the police, but that's one of the criteria almost anymore. They want to support the veterans and give them jobs, and one of the largest segments of jobs in America is policing and police work and
Security, yeah.
yeah, security. And but you got to wonder once you've been trained in the military, you kind of got a hair trigger, you know.
That's right, that's right. And it's not a good idea to put these guys with guns amongst the community, you know. You've got families, you've got like guys that have never been in a fight ever, you know, very, very placid population, and then you set these people that have, you know, been blowing cities up and shooting people in the face and, you know, torturing them in their cells and stuff, and you put them amongst the population. I don't think that's a good idea, you know. Maybe someone else can come in and shed some light on that. But
Yeah, yeah. The original idea is peacekeeping, and it doesn't seem much. We don't seem to have much of peacekeeping anymore. Hello, Zeta.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Oh, okay.
So the box says.
So the box says, yeah, I was trying to look at that. Anyways, how's everybody?
Well, we were just talking about this week's issues. Obviously, you can guess what came up. You know, so any news on your front? You picked up anything?
No, actually, I'm catching up too as well. I mean, all I know is that there's quite a few issues floating around. I'm just trying to. What are you guys talking about?
Oh,
Yeah,
we were just talking. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, we were talking about the police and how aggressive they are in America, and it's a bad idea. That you know, they're bringing in one of the criteria for being a police seems to be you're a veteran and or a veteran of military of foreign war actually, and we don't think, you know, it's probably not a good idea, and we seem to have some retraining to go around to or deprogramming.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but I mean, there's that thing going on, post-traumatic stress syndrome, where, you know, combat veterans, they come back, it's their first tour, and they're just not quite well adjusted. You know, they come back and some of them, you know, end up in prison. They end up on alcohol abuse or some other type of abuse, and they just don't adjust very well. And unfortunately, they go into the police force, some of them, and they bring back this mentality of shoot first and ask questions later. And we're seeing that more and more recently, especially in the States.
Yeah, even here in Canada, there's been you know, incidences. I think it was 2 years ago, where a police opened fire on an 18-year-old kid who was on a streetcar in Toronto, and you know, that raised a lot of ruckus about police brutality and police behavior. But there's definitely been a change, guys.
Oh, we had it here. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but the very first day, in fact, it was the next day when after Parliament.
Mute for a second.
Yeah. When the UK Parliament approved of armed police patrolling the streets of the UK, of course, an innocent man got shot. You know, John Charles Jimenez. He was shot 10 times in the face at point blank, unarmed, not resisting arrest. They threw him to the ground and just shot him 10 times in the face because he looked Arab.
Because he looked Arab.
Because he looked like an Arab. He was shot in the tube station in London.
Yeah, the tube. Yeah.
The police, they paid, I think, £350,000 compensation to the parents or something like that.
Only 350,000. Wow.
Yeah, but they didn't want to make that because they didn't want to say that they were wrong, and they're still sticking to their story that it was just a confusion of information. But it just goes to show you can't put military and guns in with the population.
Well, goodness my! I mean, it's been years. I remember when I was going to England. I mean, this is going back way back. It's. I think it's been internationally known. The bobbies in London, and I'm sure a lot of police forces throughout England, never wore guns. And of course, for North Americans, that's we find that to be very strange.
Yeah, no guns. No guns. Police are not allowed the guns, but now they're armed with tasers. They've given them tasers.
Right.
And yeah, and a lot of bits will know that they are armed police. It's just you don't see them. They'll have the guns in the back of their boot, in their car.
Right.
They drive around. They're just your normal police officers. So that you do have armed police now.
When did they change? When did they make that law effective, Shining?
It was only a couple of years ago. It was the anti-terror bill, and they just gave police. They just gave armed police patrolling duties, that's all. Whereas before they'd be on special call, so if there was an incident, they'd call the armed police. But now they just patrol everywhere.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Since 9/11, and they gave the NSA started, and then they gave the police a little more military equipment. It seems to have been raising, and it rolls down from there to police officers that generally wouldn't have been armed. I like to say the Barney Fife kind of police, where you don't give them a gun, and you're not supposed to give them a gun. But now they all have guns. They all have M16s in the back of their cars, but it loosened up the restrictions just a little bit. So it grew in size of having guns and having this authority thing. I've seen this roll down in the city administration too, with the NSA in America, that everybody thinks they're an authority nowadays. I mean, even down to the water police and the police that the garbage police and the road workers. Everybody that works in the city administration thinks they have some sort of authority over the rest of the population. And
yeah, I've been hearing disturbing reports on that. I mean, police that were coming back from training, they were given some very disturbing questions, before they were. Basically, before they were signed on contract, and that's one of the questions was, would you be willing to open fire on civilians?
And what was the response on that?
Well, they all had to sign that contract in that they would open fire on civilians if ordered to. The worrying thing is, there have been reports that when civil unrest does happen, like the traffic police, all those security that you just named, Traversable, that they would take the role as police, patrolling the streets, and the police would become an addition to the military. Obviously, this has been going around some of the conspiracy New World Order websites, but it's not too far-fetched. I mean, if there is a large-scale rebellion, if there is a large-scale militia that opposes the government, the police would quite easily just join the military in fighting the civilians, and all the other types of security guards they would take the role as police. And the police would become.
Yeah, do you think this I use this word a lot, and it's groupthink, and they all get this group mentality, and then among them there's no conscientious objectors to violence. So in a group, one man takes the devil's advocate and argues the other man's point when the other man doesn't have a voice. So in the case of a criminal or someone that's running, he doesn't have a voice. If you don't have one guy saying, no, we shouldn't draw our arms on this guy, then it becomes a matter of groupthink at that point, and they just start open firing.
Yeah, and that is worrying. And the thing is, they are, trying to put this in the perspective of Mgtow. But so far, they've just been shooting mainly men. Now, I wonder what it'd be like if they started shooting the women, and obviously the children. If they started the women and the children, I think there would be a big outcry. But because it's mainly men that are getting shot dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just had an example of this in Cleveland with the what was it, 132 bullets being fired on the two people in the car, and then they had there were supposedly supposed to be riots and everything, but it was quite calm around here during the last few events we had around here. But the officer went on trial, and they let him go. Even there was a female in the car that died too, and that seemed to be the point that everybody was making, that they shot the female, and I think it was a 14-year-old girl, for essentially running a traffic light.
Yeah.
100.
It's upside down. I mean, they need to address this. The fact is, civil unrest looks inevitable. I mean, the harder the government push the people, the more the people get irate and push back. There's only a certain amount of civilians you could kill for suspicion or just mistaken identity or just for minor, very, very minor offences before, something's going to give, and you're going to get that V for Vendetta standoff where the people will just say, you know what, shoot me if you like, but I'm not going to stand up for this. And we're getting more and more like this, and I think surely the government can see this. They must know that this is the case, which is why they're putting all these draconian legislations through to make it easier for police to shoot and make them unaccountable for any deaths or consequences.
Yeah, they gotta, like you said, they have to know this, and they have to be thinking about it, and it becomes why would they let it go this far? And we had the 4th of July last night, and one of the premises of 4th of July is everybody kind of disobeys the law and blows off fireworks, bombs, and everything, and it's a show of force. What it is by the civilian population, and they just blow off fireworks, and it represents the war that we had, and it represents the violence that we had. And what it does represent is that at any point during this thing, if we get sick of our government, this is what's going to happen. But unless you're here, and I know Warhorse can attest to this, in my neighborhood, it's like a war zone. There's bombs going off everywhere, and it
was like that last night. My poor dog was hiding.
Yeah, and what it is just a simple show of force that Americans, at any point that they want to, can change anything they want to by force, and it's one of our constitutional rights to regress the government for its failures, and lately they've been failing a lot.
It sounds very much like the bonfire night over in UK. When Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament. I always found it strange why, as a nation, we celebrate such a night. I mean, surely the government would be against such a celebration when we celebrate the fact that one man was about to blow up the Houses of Parliament. Obviously, that wouldn't have destroyed government. It was just a symbol of rebellion, in that the people will redress the government for any wrongdoings and injustice. And at the moment, all we hear about is injustice on behalf of the government.
Yeah, it's gone to a sad state, and I think when you look at Congress, and we get to watch Congress daily on our regular stations and everything, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the violence that's happening, and they don't want to bring up the points and start working towards fixing it. And you see a lot of silly stuff like the gay rights and the which is family courts and all the family, and that catches everybody's eyes. But everybody's not thinking about the bigger issue here of what's going on in the country, and the politicians refuse to talk about it.
It is, for me, it seems strange because I know you get the optimists. I mean, me and you are all of us here. We've heard them say, "Oh, it will get better." Every now and again things get out of hand, and then it all begins to settle down every couple of decades. But it's just been, as far as I can remember, it's just been escalating, more and more. And like I said, at the moment, it's mainly just men that are getting shot dead. I get the feeling once they start shooting indiscriminately, I don't think there's going to be much resistance left.
Well, yeah. I just wanted to add something. It's funny about what you just said there, that, it's almost like they're geared towards shooting men dead. I'm looking even before that stage, and I get this vibe from, from the city I live in. You know, they could construe a resisting arrest scenario quite easily, okay? Even if you just say one word, okay, and you look the cop right in the eye, he could very easily create a scenario there that you're resisting arrest, where they have to rough and tumble you to the ground.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean,
I've
that's
seen it.
that's the part that concerns me. And the funny thing is, before even getting into this discussion, I created a scenario, in my head. Not that I'm paranoid or anything, but that's a scenario that could be easily construed.
Well, we have that
I've
here in
seen
the
it.
U.S. already, resisting arrest without violence, which means that if you say, no, I don't want to go to jail, or anything to that effect, you're
Yeah.
resisting arrest. We've already have that law in place.
Fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
it's right there.
I mean, we've seen like I don't know if you know this term over in the US, but over in the UK we call it stealth taxes. Where the government, they take money out of the population by proxy, where they set up cameras and the cameras are triggered with cars, and then anyone with a car will get like a fine for going down a certain route, going down the wrong way, or going going over the speed limit slightly, and also they've been increasing the taxes on other things as well. Obviously, one of the things is food and drink, and also like energy and fuel. I mean, they call them all stealth taxes, and obviously when people can't pay, they send in the bailiffs, and then of course the bailiffs are backed up by the police, which is unconstitutional. The police are not supposed to be bailiffs for companies. Police aren't supposed to work for a company, for some energy company or for McDonald's. So the police can't come around to your home to collect a bill that you picked up in McDonald's. But this is what's happening. The police, they're being used for any arbitrary bill that's not paid, and quite often what happens is people, they get arrested. People get arrested for things they shouldn't get arrested for, and this is just like another sign of an escalation of the oppression of the people. Of course, it's been happening so gradually that people haven't been pushed over the edge yet. It's something that's talked about, something that preppers want to prepare for. I mean, this is just to add on to the point that I was trying to make, that I'm not sure that it is going to get any better. I mean, I don't know of an incident in modern history in the past 50, 60 years where things got so bad and so out of hand that they actually reversed. The laws had to go in reverse to try and remedy some of the problems, some of the anger that people were feeling towards the government.
Yeah, you see it with one of the big issues in MGTOW is debtor's prison, and how they put men in jail for child support and alimony payments, and it's the same thing now. They get away with that, and then they push it a little farther, and then they can get away with making you pay a traffic ticket, or making you pay a like you said, at McDonald's, a bill at McDonald's, and they have this weird way of looking at that. They say you're not really arrested. You have the opportunity to pay the $100 and get out of jail, so that makes it not an arrest, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, this escalation, it makes me think, because governments, they're not stupid. They know what's going on. They know the consequences. Either this is what they want, or this is just a consequence of something that they're trying to build to. And what I'm trying to say by that is, at the moment, men are disposable. Men, they're worth less than the money that they can make for either the government office or the women. And the women, they're loving this. I mean, this is something we always talk about, something we always want. Women love the disposability of the men, the utility of men. Now, what's this? What the result of this is? It's making men resent not only government but women. I mean, it's just understood now. I know you get the odd simp and mangina, but generally men are beginning to resent women. Now, what happens when the government starts slaughtering people indiscriminately and nobody cares? I mean, one of the things that was spoken about was that, you know, black people are getting killed and nobody cares, and then next it will be Hispanic or Asian getting killed and nobody will care. So generally, what I'm thinking is that they're making this atmosphere of apathy, where people, they don't care what's going on so long as they're okay, so long as they're not affected. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that there's some truth to that. You know, one of the things I just wanted to add is, you know, is the powers of arrest. Okay, the powers of arrest and reading somebody the Miranda rights. Okay, it almost seems, you know, that you know, I remember a cop once saying, "Did you know that the majority of people," and I think this explains everything what I'm about to say, the majority of people don't know their rights. And cops can take advantage of that and create scenarios, you know, for an arrest. You know, just like that, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. People, they don't know their rights, and I urge everyone to read up on it. I mean, before they even talk to you, you've got a right. I mean, police can't arbitrarily come up to you and, in a legal sense, start questioning you. You have a legal right to be left to your own business, to your own life, to have a peaceable life, unmolested by police. And then at the time they're arresting you, you've got rights. You know, they can't use, you know, they can't just come up and shoot you and say you're under arrest, which we've seen that's been happening. And once you're under arrest, you've got rights as well. You know, there's so many things that people don't realize that they can put their foot down. And this is, you know, there's a new movement. I know it's going on over in the US as well, where guys are trying to teach people that of their rights. And, you know, guys that are, you know, taking the police to court, taking officers to court for what we would have perceived as being very menial things. You know, like taking the police to court for false arrest. I know that's not something that's very common, but if people realize that, you know, if a policeman's not allowed to arrest,
what we deal with here is an adversarial legal system, and you know, when you talk about, well, cops can't come up to you out of the blue and ask you who you are or ask you questions, whatever. All they have to cite is probable cause, and probable cause can be almost anything, up to and including mistaken identity. Well, we had a report of a 6'2" white guy fitting your description, and look, you know, we're going to need this information, or we're going to have to arrest you. It's probable cause. It will hold up. It'll be dismissed if it's all bullshit. But the route that you go through, the rigmarole, the going to the jail cell, holding, going in front of a judge, having bail set, and then proving yourself innocent. It's an adversarial system. And the best advice that anybody has ever given anybody, and most lawyers will tell you this, criminal lawyers will tell you this, is shut up. Don't say anything. You do not have to have your Miranda rights read to you. They apply even beforehand. You have the right to remain silent at all times, because anything you say is what they will use against you to build a case against you. Whether you said it before or after Miranda, it doesn't matter. This is where people screw up, and then you see these idiots that are going along intentionally arguing with cops at a checkpoint or whatever. And yes, maybe some of these checkpoints aren't legal. However, it is a checkpoint. They have a reason for it. And now you're going to be a dickhead with a guy and tell him, I don't have to roll my window down any more than this. I don't have to show you my ID and everything. Of course, you're escalating the whole thing now. To what end? You know, if you just said, okay, here you go, here's my insurance and stuff, you know, and you merrily go on your way. Yeah, is it an insult that they can do this to you? Of course it is. But fighting it out on the street, one-on-one with these guys, you're going to lose, and they know it. They can put you through so much shit, okay, and even act a little bit strange or whatever. Probability of drugs, they can rip your car apart or your vehicle into tiny shreds, and they don't even have to put it together again. All right, just under the idea that they had probable cause or suspicion of drugs because of the way you acted. They got you by the short and curlies, man, and that's not going to change real quick.
Yeah. Well, Van Dyke put out a question in the chat room, and I think that you've pretty much answered it, Warhorse, but I'm just going to repeat it. He said, say to X, maybe we need some guidelines on how to avoid getting arrested and what books to read to understand the law, how to educate ourselves, especially for minorities as well. I mean, that's you've pretty much answered it there. If you ever get arrested, remember, you have the right to remain silent. You ask any lawyer, and even if you go on YouTube, you know, that's the first thing that they're going to tell you. You have the right to remain silent, even before the Miranda rights, like you said, Warhorse.
Yeah, yeah. The best, just shut up. Shut up. You know, unless you are definitely 100% innocent of anything, and you were just mistaken, even at that point, make a short statement stating a fact and let it go at that. After that, unfortunately, you're going to be part of the system. And, you know, the minute you're into that system, it's going to cost you money, whether you did anything or not, and it's going to cost you time. You may lose your job, your standing, your social standing, everything else. The best thing to do is stay under the radar. Try not to cause as much problem as possible, especially in this day and age. You know, unfortunately, this is the way we have to deal with it anymore. You know, this is in effect, you know, and I hate bringing up Germany all the time, but the Gestapo did that, you know, with the papers, please, anybody on the street and what have you, you know. So if you saw these trench coats walking down the street, well, goddamn, duck into a bar or duck into an alleyway or whatever. If you, hopefully they didn't see you, you avoid them and then go on your way. You know, that's unfortunately that's where we're at nowadays.
Yeah, unfortunately that is the case, but I mean, you can't live like that, guys. You can't live in such a totalitarian, oppressive, tyrannical regime like that. I mean, you're gonna. I mean, some people. I mean, this is a MGTOW talk, but as a general population, you know, people have families, people have business things to get about. You know, you can't live under this yoke of just having your liberty just so arbitrarily being taken at stake. And I do understand those people who, you know, they will put themselves at risk, where they will inflame a situation with a police officer because they feel that the police officer is not within his rights either to question them or to stop them. Yeah, you're right, Warhorse. You know, if you're quiet, you know, you probably would go on your way. But this situation that's come about, where, you know, police can just stop and not only search but take your belongings.
Yeah, they can confiscate anything they want. You know, if you have so much as a joint on you or what have you, and you're transporting it, they can impound your vehicle and then auction it off. You know, what have you. They can just steal your things. Actually, there's some kind of a law that if they find more than, I forget what it's a stupid amount, $1,000 on your person, they automatically suspect you of wrongdoing. You know, being in the drug trade. So if you're carrying that type of cash on you, they're going to confiscate that cash, and they don't have to give it back to you, whether you've done anything. I remember one guy, he was going to buy some kind of a high-end car. He was paying cash for it. It was used, and they nailed him for it. And I think he had like $80,000 on him. And after all the court fees and fighting it and everything else, I think he got back like $15,000 of his money. You know, yeah, there's a problem with the system. There's the problem.
Yeah, that is. Do you think money has a lot to do with it, and the shortage of money nowadays? And you know, our first Oh, Reflections wants to come in. Yeah, we can send
I'll do that, Joe. I'll send him a link.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, our first constitution, the first thing we say in America here is you have the right to redress grievances. You have the right to say what you want. You have a freedom of speech in America. And this whole shut up thing and don't talk, isn't that just, it violates the first rule we have here. It, if you do say anything, it's just you should say a denial of the crime. Anytime they come to your house or they approach you on the street, it should just be a denial of anything they have to say. But just
just a denial. No
Yeah.
expansion on that, because then you are interfering with a police officer or interfering with a police investigation. The minute you give any type of information, if it isn't exactly true, you just hung yourself for two more
Right,
charges.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, and this is the legal system, the lawyers, and we never talk about the lawyers and how detrimental they are to any freedoms. And if they have their way, they're just going to keep pressing. They have nothing to do but make new laws that go against our rights, and that seems to be what they're doing right now. And we have to start with the little things. You know, the way it used to be. I hate to say that, and this has a lot to do with freedom, and Mgtow is one of the major things in Mgtow is freedom. And when we talk about they're targeting men for this, and it starts with men, and like you said, I hate to use the German example, but what was that old saying? That first it was the bankers, then it was my friend, then it was my neighbor, then it was me.
Yeah.
And like Shiny
there was no one left to speak for me. Something to that effect, right?
There was no one left. Unless people start saying, no, we're not going to, you can't pull people over in a car and just check them. And somebody's got to start saying it, and somebody's got to start saying it forcefully. But as soon as you do start saying it forcefully, you just have the right to shut up. And that's what they're saying. So it's like cognitive dissonance in our legal system right now, and like I said, the politicians don't want to talk about it because all they're doing is generating funds. They're generating money through this whole thing. You know, they can pull you over for almost, I don't know how many times in the last 5 years I just get pulled over, and the first thing that goes through my head is I didn't do anything wrong. And then I end up paying 120, 130 bucks, and then I can keep my license, or I can, and it's just, if I would have denied anything and said, no, I don't want that ticket, and I'm not going to accept that ticket because I didn't do anything wrong, I would have probably went to jail.
Well, I got pulled over one time because the cop said my trailer hitch ball was covering my license plate.
Yeah.
You know, and of course I have dark tinted windows. Well, I live in Florida, so therefore, yeah, I have them. You know, it keeps the car cooler. Although the cops have darker tinted windows than I do.
Yeah.
You can't even see into the goddamn cruiser. And, you know, so, of course, I'm on one of the main routes coming in and out of this side of the state. And, you know, tinted windows and everything else. The trailer ball was just a bullshit thing. You know, the guy didn't give me any ticket. And he was expecting a reaction out of me, you know, to be nervous, to be this, that, or the other, you know. Maybe I had a trunk full of cocaine, or I don't know what he was thinking. But the trailer ball thing was stupid because it's a 1 7/8 ball. I mean, you know, come on. It doesn't cover an entire license plate. And if you're a little bit behind me, you know, if you move your head left or right, you'd see the numbers, you know, and it's bullshit. They do this constantly. They really don't need a reason. They
don't need a reason anymore, and I think that's the thing that we have to start, you know, as a group, as Americans in English, and wherever country you're at, you have to start asking the question: was there a reason why you pulled me over? And if he says something stupid like, I've seen in Pennsylvania, you know, you have a crack in your car, and they'll pull you over and tell you you must get auto body work on your car, stuff like that, which generates funds, and it's all about generating money, and it's all about, it becomes a business.
Well, even on a traffic stop, usually the cops here will ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? And most lawyers will tell you, don't answer.
Don't
And don't
answer that.
say, yeah, I might have been going a little fast, or maybe I was weaving, or don't say any of that. Tell them, no, sir, I don't. Please tell me why. And then
Yeah.
after that, do you know how fast you were going? No, sir, please tell me how fast I was going. Let them answer the questions,
Let them
because the
answer. Yeah.
minute you say something, you automatically hang yourself.
Right.
This is what I mean by an adversarial legal system. It's us against them. The police work on the side of the courts. They work with the prosecutors hand in hand. They do not work for the civilians. Okay,
No.
so it is a us against them mentality, and it's getting worse. And yet, here, the police have the power of carrying a gun, tasers, and whatever else they can use and bear at to front. So we're kind of hung here, and going by the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. They've been amended so many goddamn times. Yeah, you got freedom of speech, but you can't yell fire in a movie theater, and then it trickles down from there, which we all agree, yelling fire in a movie theater, if there is none, isn't a good idea. But, going in a crowd and screaming at the top of your lungs, hey, I think all of you are a bunch of twats, right? Now your freedom of speech, you've insulted other people, you're going to jail because it's considered hate speech.
Yeah.
So, what does the freedom of speech bullshit mean? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's been amended right the fuck out of existence.
Yeah, that's true. It's they took our rights little at a time, just like I was saying, the German thing. It was a little at a time and a little at a time, and nobody argued the point. Nobody argued the point. But I think MGTOWs are arguing the point now, and I think the NWO people are arguing the point, and a lot more people now are going to start arguing those little points that they're trying to push on us, and hopefully we can tail it back. And like Shining said, there's some optimism, but it's an unwarranted optimism because when you got a guy carrying a gun next to you and a taser, it puts you on a different playing field than them, doesn't it?
Well, until we get to the point where we have a huge lobby working for us,
right,
to do anything, nothing is going to happen. We can all sit here and bitch, talk about it, complain about it. The fact is, too many Americans are fat, happy, and lazy, and they're not willing to put it out there, and it's not going to happen. So until a huge lobby comes out against this, people are just going to stay under the radar, hope for the best, and put up with it, and then justify it. Well, he deserved it, or she deserved, or whatever.
Well,
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this goes directly back to the point that MGTOW's going through too, doesn't it? We had the NWO people that were in the Going Galt people, and they're breaking off in groups, and MGTOW's becoming bigger. Now we have the IBMOR people that are breaking off into a separate group, and MGTOW's becoming bigger, and we're starting to address all these little problems that we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So if it continues, we're going to have a lot of different MGTOW groups, but we're all going to be under a central group of MGTOW or whatever it turns out to be. I don't know what it'll be. I can't tell you the future, but these little subgroups are going to start popping up, and a lot of this goes direct. People are unhappy right now, and whatever your certain specific.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Reflections.
Oh, you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yeah, hello.
It was a bit problematic. What are you talking about? Like politics and laws?
Yeah, we were talking about police brutality, and we were trying to interweave it with the MGTOW.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, kind of a police state type, us against them paradigm that I think we mostly have in the U.S., although I'm sure many other countries have it.
In Sweden, it's like the police has monopoly on guns, so we can't have guns for private people can't have guns. It's only the police and hunters can also have guns. But
where are you from, Reflections?
Sweden.
Sweden. Ah, okay. I was going to say here in America, we all have guns, lots of them. not enough to take on the military machine or even the law enforcement machine. There's just not enough firepower there to have a bloody Mad Max knockdown drag out. That's not going to happen.
Well, that was I was saying.
There's been a debate recently, right, about gun regulations, I think, in the U.S., no?
Yeah, they keep losing. Yeah, that's what I was saying about the spectacle of the 4th of July, which we had last night. If you looked around my neighborhood, there's no shortage of gunpowder. There's no shortage of people that are willing to break a law a little bit to get their point across. And when you look out, I know a lot of you guys could never experience this. When you look about my neighborhood on that certain day, it's quite a spectacle of it's a spectacle of freedom and resistance.
Yeah, but it's purely I don't know. It's staturing. You know, it really, besides getting drunk, barbecuing, blowing up some shit in the sky, and in my case around here, people were blowing off their shotguns and everything else, which gave them a reason to go and kill whatever wildlife was at the lake and what have you. So it's short-lived, though. You know, it has no lasting effect. And besides a couple of fire trucks going by yesterday, not much happened because of it. And I think a few of these idiots set their place on fire. You know, they got the woods lit up and playing with this stuff. So to me, it's a major annoyance anymore because my dog gets all scared and starts shaking and hiding everywhere. And other than that, you know, I like the movie Independence Day, though. You know, what can I say, man?
Yeah, it shows that we often hear that we can't take them on and we can't force them to change these laws, and we can't do that. But last night, man, I was thinking one of the things that was going through my mind is if all these people put away their fireworks and bring out their guns, it's not going to last but one day here. And there's only, 200,000, 300,000 government workers and 200,000 police officers or something like that, or maybe up to 1 million, but it's not going to last what they think. And they aren't afraid of the people anymore, and that's the problem. And the people, and it's always been kind of, in America, you have to be afraid of the people because that's what this thing is about. But like we've been talking about, they're not afraid. And they truly are delusional about what would happen.
And that goes into the PC crowd. You know, everybody's gotten so PC that you can't even aim a toy water pistol at anybody without everybody having a meltdown. So, you know, how many people that actually have a gun and convince themselves, well, they learned how to use it, they got it at home, now they feel safe and secure, they're protected, they have this gun. It's locked up. They can't get at it in a hurry or anything like that, you know. And would they actually aim it at a human being and pull the trigger, you know, and then shoot the person to properly stop them? And if you're dealing with any type of police force, military, or what have you, they're wearing armor, you know. So, look, this is a no-win battle, you know. The very few people that are trained are usually ex-military and have some weapons training and everything. But how much damage are those few people going to do? Not much, you know?
Yeah, I think it would be enough damage to make our politicians start to think. And
no, they'll just go off on the
just go on the PC route.
Yeah, they'll go on the see, we need to get rid of guns. We need to get rid of more guns. And they do this, every like 8 years, they get on their, you know, this guy got shot, and, you know, that guy got shot, and we need to do away with guns, and then the whole shit starts all over again. It's a constant back and forth.
Today's topic?
Actually, I think it was supposed to be,
we veered.
No, it's okay. I think we got a good start. The topic is lexicon and
activism.
And activism.
But isn't it? Yeah, this is sort of activism, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah, we're discussing. We're dovetailing into it.
We don't need to stick to the topic.
Very slowly. Well, lexicon, we're talking about how people put things forth in their videos.
What is
when
lexicon?
How to utilize speech properly,
Right.
put the meaning of something precisely, and not having it out in the open.
So it's
that's
like
the best I can do off the top of my head.
Rhetoric almost?
No. Rhetoric would be the opposite of it.
No, if you listen to Stardust, one of his 4 videos he made was about talking objectively towards an objective. How am I going to do this? What am I going to do with this? Where am I going with this? What help can I receive doing this? What will I achieve by doing this? That's putting your
it's like
putting
talking
your language
with a vision or something.
Yeah, you're talking with an objective, and we don't do that a lot in Mgtow. We dance around.
Do that.
Yeah. Okay. Here's real quick lexicon definition: the vocabulary of a person, language, or branch of knowledge, which means speaking from a precise point, and how words are utilized and how they're perceived. In other words, when Stardust says objectivism, he means something completely different than somebody else talking about it. And when the two
Mgtow talks I did with Stardust.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, cool.
But anyway, that's the definition of it. It's how to use language properly to further the meaning of what you're trying to put forth, and have everybody understand it. In other words, be on the same page, and not determine that, oh, this word means this to me, but it was taken out of context as to the speaker, how they were using it.
It seems like then philosophers are very lexical then, because they're very careful what words they use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, and we got to start talking. If we all start talking and we all get on the same page, and what's it about? It's about a certain form that we use when we speak, and we used to do this a lot when Mgtow was in its infancy. Barbarossa taught us a few words. He started gynocentrism, and it provided an enemy almost, and it quantified what we were talking about. So there's a lot of words we can use, and we can all get on the same page with our linguistics.
Yeah, it's like when people in a specific field have their own terms for things, like in physics they use.
Well, you don't want any confusion as to other people's perception. You want to make sure that everybody understands what you, as a speaker, are trying to put out there in that context. So you don't want that confusion of people using their subjective ideology, if you will, and inflecting their own meaning as to what the speaker is actually saying. And
that's
come on, this is a very hard thing.
Yeah, people they have their own meanings, right? Defined to words. Words mean different things to different people.
Right, and therefore you have to fine-tune that to put it forth, what you're trying to put out there with your context of that word or phrase or sentence, however.
Right, and
make it. Yeah, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
And when you take your English class, they're going to tell you when you're writing to talk in an active voice. And that's not like saying, well, we might be here and this could have been. And that's not an active voice. What we are saying is we are coming. And we are coming. This is the way it's going to be. And things like that. And you're talking in a real firm, active voice. And and what it does is it's telling people what's going to happen, not what they think is going to happen.
Yeah, you're giving a reaffirmation of the topic. And maybe stronger language, which leaves no doubt as to any other interpretation.
Right. Yeah. When we say MGTOW's working, or we're working on it now, that gives an impression that we don't know what we're doing. No. When we say something, we should say, "Hey, MGTOW's coming to your town, and we're going to be here, and we are going to do this, and this is the way it's going to be." And it gives a more complete view of what MGTOW is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, it's very important. In feminist writing.
How does this tie in with activism? Like, you mean like, because MGTOW it's more about spreading knowledge, maybe? So
well, no, the activism part was kind of separate of the lexicon aspect of it, because the perceptions that were, and yeah, I guess it kind of bled into the lexicon part of it, because the perception, what activism meant, activism being like an MRA type thing where we're trying to change political thing, this, that, and the other, as opposed to the type of activism where we say, look, I'm going to help a brother out, I'm going to go there and I'm going to give him a couple bucks or give him a ride somewhere, I'll stand up for him in court if I need to, and tell that side. That type of activism of helping, not the type of activism of having a slut walk or a dick walk, if you will, or whatever, and screaming out in front of the county seat. That type of activism, we tried to try to differentiate between the two meanings of the word activism, which has been, as of late, kind of been muddied up.
Yeah, it's apathetic, isn't it? It's almost apathetic, and we're embarking on useless endeavors, and useless endeavors will get you nowhere. When we MGTOWs, we're men, being apathetic is out the door, and we can show empathy to other men, but we have a barrier.
We could create, sort of a support network, almost brotherhood-like, so just help each other out.
Yeah, and follow through with what you say,
Global and really big. That would be.
Well, I think we're doing that on a larger level with these hangouts, getting together occasionally. We talk to each other when we have problems, maybe personal a little bit more than this type of a hangout, a podcast, and then doing it on a local level. With some of the guys that they're going through a lot of shit. I'm trying to help this one guy out right now. He's got back child support he needs to pay, and he's willing to work on the side and everything else. So I told him, even though I don't need this work really done, I said, look, I'll help you out. Come on over, and I'll have you do all this shit, and I'll pop you $100 or whatever. That type of activism. On the feet on the ground thing, which is different than the hangouts and everything, which also have their value, a great deal of value, because we can call each other up. I think I can call any of these guys up, if I'm feeling really low, and say, hey, listen, guys, or one of you. You got a few minutes to talk, man. I'm really feeling like shit. I think almost everybody here would say, yeah, brother, go ahead. I would.
It's like I've heard this idea from Stardust also, that we shouldn't try to change, the world or go into the MRA thing. But do you guys agree that we could maybe like raise money together and like build a house for maybe divorced men or something like that?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, something solid. And like I was saying, if we have a nihilist attitude, and we hear this all the time that we can't do this, and every time somebody gets an idea, they say, oh, that's not going to work, blah blah blah, and apathy kills any movement. If we have 10 guys that jump aboard with a proactive attitude into anything, and I can share with you a story right now.
What I like to do, at least with my channel, is like I want to spread, like help men get over the hate and all the negative feelings and find some peace, you know.
Yeah.
Like I teach meditation and stuff. So
Yeah. What do we do? What do we do after we have our solace and we have our happiness? We have to do something still. We can't sit around here and just crack a few beers and talk about how bad things are.
yeah,
Becoming an
I guess
actual movement.
it's a danger that we get stuck in this, you know, like
Yeah.
loop of just complaining about women.
Complaining about women. Yeah, and it just kills anything real that's going to happen out in on the real world
But
is going to happen.
I'm seeing a change already, a slow
Yeah.
change. I think a guy named Osiris, I forget it now. I think I subscribed to him, but he cooked this great steak up and everything else, and going forth with that. And then I found another channel that was really positive, and actually Messenger made one too. With him going back up on the mountain and everything, and how the help of what the mayor was doing and what he's doing it for. He even showed me cutting my beard off, stuff like that. I'm seeing where it's starting to head in a positive direction. I really am.
Yeah. Four guys.
In my channel, it's starting to become like more like personal development now.
Yeah.
I did a few, like videos, maybe one.
That's beautiful, man. I mean, that's what we need, and we all have a different take on it, all of which can be picked and chosen from all these other guys that are out there that somebody may not be into your thing, but they might be into my thing,
right?
And then they might be into somebody else's thing, whether it's working out or even playing games, or I mean, there's such an array of things that you can move on with, that you can show that look, this is how good life can be. Okay, doing shit on your own without having all this crap in your life, and enjoy this, because it's not it's not going to last forever. You're not going to live forever. So if you've gotten out of this red pill rage and whatever else, and you're done with that, moving forward now means enjoying it, and take your pick of all of our channels that put forth different ideas that guys can pick from. There's so much they can pick from, whether it's all right, somebody might want to buy a Harley now because they watched me dick around with mine forever. I don't know. I'm just saying this is something that you have a choice, but let's move on. All right, I'm not bitching about women anymore. I'm bitching about Home Depot running out of paneling. That's more important to me right now than with women. But of course, we never need to lose sight that what we are dealing with when we deal with women, we've already been told this. This should be ingrained by now to most of us,
right?
And that we protect ourselves from getting hung up on any of that gynocentric thing going on out there. So we protect ourselves, but we go our own way, steer clear of it, and enjoy the living shit out of it. That's where we need to go.
Look at what one man. I hear this in Mgtow all the time. One man can't make a difference. But look at the mayor of Mgtow. Look what he's done so far. Now, I wanted to tell this story about 20 years ago. Me and 4 guys were sitting around a living room table, drunk. But we all had positive attitudes about what we were gonna. We needed to do something. We needed to do something for our community. So we started a little 501c under a stupid sports logo. And we started having events. And I know you've seen this, Warhorse, and in the motorcycle clubs. You have steak roasts and stuff like that. And then we picked a group of people that we wanted to help. And at that time, it was autistic children, and we wanted to buy a baseball field for them. And we wanted to bring them in, bus them in, and let them play baseball. For the first time in their life, these kids could play baseball with each other, t-ball, and so 4 men drunk around a table with a positive attitude. And nowadays, this pig roast I went to yesterday, and we collect thousands and thousands of dollars now for that. And we have the event every year, and little kids can play baseball. Little boys can go out with autism and play baseball. But it was just 4 guys with a positive attitude.
Yep.
And it's built into something beautiful now. In Mgtow, 4 guys with a positive attitude can change the world, and that's what we want to project. You can change the world. It doesn't depend on how smart you are and how.
I mean, just like a lot of channels, they're projecting a lot of hate and dystopian, nihilistic messages, you know.
Right.
And maybe that's why we get into the wrong attitude, like we can't change. But
well, we need to focus. We need to focus away from these people, and we need to ignore them. Basically, just ignore them. There's no more. This is like trying to logically explain something to a feminist, and these hateful so-called MGTOWs want to keep spewing this drama, want to keep proliferating this hate and everything else. What they need is a good dose of ignore. Just piss off. Yeah. And go ahead and talk to yourself and your like-minded people, and you're not helping here, so therefore I don't have the time to deal with you. Okay, I don't deal with crazy.
This goes back to the lexicon thing. I am going to do this, and I'm going to do this in your face. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and that's the attitude we have to have. And you catch a lot more. You're going to catch a lot more guys with that positive attitude, and because it's more appealing. It just appeals. Men are busy. We do busy things. We do great things. We build bridges and we climb mountains. And for someone to say to me that I can't take Mgtow into the real world, and I can't take Mgtow into politics, and I can't do this, oh no, you're telling the wrong guy. Yeah. Because I'm that guy. I will help push it, and I will be if it takes it. I'm going to be at the front, running head first.
Essentially, this could be really big because it's like women have a sisterhood, but we have no organized brotherhood. I think.
No, wait a minute. Women will stab each other in the back the minute one of them walks out of the room. Don't ever believe that. They have a herd mentality and a group think. But there is not a sisterhood there, so don't conflate those two. I mean, there's definitely something that'll break them down, and it doesn't take much. So, but again, I'm not going to focus on that. Let the women do what they want, you know.
Right.
And they'll self-destruct. Yeah. They'll self-destruct. Trust me, brother. And why? You know, we as men, we can't be bothered with that shit, really. I mean, come on. But, you know, they're a bunch of.
It's like all these attitudes, like gynocentrism, try to keep men, you know, competing against each other, and not being brothers, because being brothers is sort of gay, you know, like, when you get a wife, the guy tends to get isolated, you know, from all his friends, and it's like they're trying to control. But if we can, you know, get all men together, or many men, then that would be huge, I think.
Yeah, that would be huge. And that's what they are trying to do. They're trying to control it by making us single Burgess individuals. And, well, not even Burgess. In a some way, being a strong individual and saying that I'm going to do something is great. But
it's like a lot of guys video about this, you know, men, you know, hugging each other and stuff, you know. Yeah. Like, it's like women, they shame it and call it gay because I think they want monopoly on intimacy, basically, so they can control men more.
Right. Yeah. The first thing you see when you get a bunch of guys together, and if they do, you know, start getting close, and one of them gets called gay, or the women say, okay, well, that's kind of gay, and then one of them will step away from the group automatically and go, not me. Oh no, you know, and it breaks the group up. And
well, actually, you know, it depends. Look, you know, with the bike clubs and everything, we used to hug each other a lot, man, and even give each other kisses, you know. And this was the brotherhood, and nobody doubted our masculinity. You can believe that shit. So if you have enough pride in yourself and you're confident enough, you know, if somebody calls me gay, well, Jesus, okay, you're a mistaken opinion, but, you know, you can call me whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't make it so. You understand?
Yeah, have you seen me? Yeah, nobody can mistake that for anybody kind of feminine. You know, that's what I always say to them. Have you seen me? Have you looked at me?
Yeah, you
I
wouldn't
heard
look
this
good in
saying
you
like,
wouldn't look good in heels and a miniskirt, Joe. I can
No, I would
attest to
not.
that.
you only get angry, if someone insults you, if you believe them.
Well,
What they are
that's the
saying.
thing. I mean, if it has no basis in reality, why would it even? It's water on a duck's back.
Mm.
Your opinion means nothing to me. If you call me gay, you're basically a shithead that I don't care about your opinion. Now piss
Mm.
off.
Mm.
That's the way I look at it personally.
Mm.
And I think more men need to take that attitude. Don't be so goddamn touchy about shit.
Mm.
If somebody's calling you names and using these tactics, then ignore them. That's the only thing you can do because,
Yeah.
well, what's the truth to it?
Yeah, and this goes back to the point about how we have to start regulating that stuff, and we used to do it kind of well in Mgtow, but we got on this groupthink that we're going to bring everybody in, and when you think about it, Mgtow is a little bit exclusive. Aren't we a little bit exclusive to? We're not bringing everybody in. We don't want the social justice warriors, and we do have an enemy here, and.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we have quite a few.
Zeta had
We have
this
quite a
nice
few
idea with
different
this.
enemies. Really, it's not just one faction that's the enemy of our group, if you will. There are many different ones.
There's many differences. Yeah, we've seen this a lot. They come at us with like 100 different hit points when they come at us, and they try to break us off and separate us and divide us. And there's a lot of enemies out there, but you can always tell the Mgtow, can't you?
Yeah, but Zeta had this cool idea, with business cards. Was it? I think.
Oh yeah, Zetas. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a couple of business cards up. It's actually on my channel if anybody wants to see them, samples that I've
That would
done.
be really cool. I mean, if everyone could have a few in their pocket, and when they met someone, just like friends, just hand them one of those.
Well,
Yeah.
it's more of a covert operation, and that was the intent, and we had this discussed quite a few hangouts ago. Those cards are designed. It's there for anybody can go into my Google Plus page, and if they can print out, do a printout of that, and then cut it themselves, or take it to a copy house, and get it done. But simply, you get these business cards cut, and you carry it on you if you're in a washroom, a men's washroom somewhere. Drop one off right in the stall there.
Yeah,
Put one right on the counter, right? I was going to try an experiment where I would leave the cards in the washroom and then go check on them afterwards in the local pub that I go to, just to see if there were any takers or anything like that. But it's things like that, on the street, wherever you can find a place that you can drop off a card.
Do it?
That's where you do it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what?
Did you do
Mgtow,
it? Leave the cards in the pub?
I'm sorry?
Did you leave the cards in the pub?
I haven't produced any as yet, so I'm just waiting for my printer to start working again. I think I'm going to take it to a coffee house and throw some samples out and film it.
I've left some in some pubs and got a positive reaction too, and it gets men talking right away. And I wanted to bring up the point of the Mgtow image too, and it goes back to they hit us with that, we're a bunch of sissies. What I like to say on a lot of my videos is Mgtow's a badass dog. And we're a big badass dog, and sometimes we have to shake the fleas off of us. And that's what we're doing now. But that image and that image that you put in your head, and that's what we'd be sharing. And it kind of tells me that we need a poster child for like a poster, like some kind of with the word Mgtow, we need some kind of maybe like a sports team has, like a badass dog.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And that would shed a lot of this, people saying, well, Mgtow's this, and it's a little bit sissy and everything, because there's nothing sissy about what we do.
Well, we got this guy Louis Marco, right? He's quite popular. Yeah. Right.
Mgtow's a badass dog, aren't we? And that's the point we got to start getting through the men. Hey, we're badass, and we're going to do something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think calling us pussies would even make me blink my eye. It'd be it be a retard talking shit. You know, it's just, yeah, go on with your crap. You know, think what you want. I'm not going to change your opinion, obviously, and you don't have the intellect to even understand what we're coming from or what we're trying to say. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time trying to convince people like that.
Yeah, it goes back to the lexicon thing where we project an image. We're projecting an image and we're hedging off these attacks. And once we start hedging off these attacks, they're not going to come anymore because they know it's stupid. And whatever image we put out, that's the one we're going to have to live with. But right now, we're not putting out a great image to us. And it goes back to what Stardust was saying.
MGTOW is such an individualistic movement, so it's really hard to come up with an image, I think.
Well, I think we're going through an identity crisis, and we're all trying to come up with our own version of it. And sometimes we get into each other's hair with our perception of that image, because we do see it somewhat differently, and we see the differences, but we're not seeing the similarities. You know, and
I think that on this actually, and basically, I was thinking like MGTOW is about brotherhood, and it's about seeing the truth. It's like what unites us, seeing the truth behind the dynamics of the sexes, and also it's about allowing yourself to be deeply self-interested and just do what's in your interest.
Yeah. What kind of picture do you draw in your head when you see a MGTOW? When we talk about MGTOW, what picture? I get a different picture of what MGTOW is, and what is that image that we see?
I get sort of an image like a cowboy. He's standing on a big hill, and he's looking out over the landscape, and he's like, "Oh, I'm free. I can do whatever I want here."
Yeah. How about you, Warhorse?
The lone rider sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I was going to reference some type of a movie or character or whatever, the movie Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage.
Okay. Yeah, that's badass.
Sam Elliott and everything, and how they went about it. The difference of the old Western type atmosphere, the tough male image. Sam Elliott on the horse, being the old outlaw, and Nicolas Cage being the daredevil, motorcycle stunt rider and everything else. That kind of comes to my idea, and they're fighting a good battle.
Remember the old Ghost Rider? That old Ghost Rider image from the 70s. That was.
Oh, you're talking the David Mann out of Easy Rider magazine.
Yeah, the Ghost Rider. He was just one badass rider on a motorcycle with the cowboy thing going on. And
how about Billy Jack? Yeah, now there's MGTOW.
He was willing to fight for something. So he believed in. Yeah, that was a MGTOW. Billy Jack. I just brought him up the other day.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's quite a few MGTOW movies back in the early 70s. I mean, Dirty Harry, Clint Eastwood, that was an example of a MGTOW right there. I mean, there were tons of them back in those 70s movies. Warhorse?
Yeah, even with Charles Bronson, the mechanic.
Yeah, Charles Bronson.
Another one that was very male-oriented, there was no love interest, there was no female protagonist, there was no female to protect, or what have you. These were all things that, this is how I perceive a MGTOW, a real MGTOW to be,
Yeah, and all these guys have one thing in common, too. They all had another male that they just loved. And all these guys, at one point, they would show a scene where he just gives them a hug or gives them some affirmation and had something great to say, which was really, appropriate at the time. And that is sort of MGTOW there. They're tough guys, but, we're also empathetic guys. And the reason they were doing what they were doing, because they had some empathy for everybody.
Well, the older man imparting wisdom, hard fought for wisdom to the younger man who's up and coming. And that is what we're trying to do here, in a way. We're kind of missing the mark, but of course you can't go buy a movie because movies are fantasy,
Yeah, that's
but
fantasy.
that's the way you would like to see it, and when you have an image of something in your head, and of course we're all going to have a different image in our head, but even guys like John Wayne, and I've brought him up many times before, holy crap, I would love to be that type of man. That to me is the quintessential male.
Yeah, we all get this kind of image of this this badass cowboy type, and that sort of is what all four of us. And I don't know what all of Mgtow thinks about it, but we are these badass cowboys out in the West, forging our way. Maybe a little fire-breathing horse like you got there, into it.
Right.
But it's all the central theme.
If you've read the Stephen King book Dark Tower.
Dark Tower? No, I've never read that book.
No, never read that either.
About a gunslinger who travels in time. He's called Roland or something, and he's looking for the Dark Tower.
Okay.
And yeah, he basically brings different people from different timelines, but he's really badass. So I feel like he's a Mgtow also.
Yeah, that's the image we want to portray, and I think if we do come up with a central character, and I think all Mgtows agree that it's that tough guy that there's nothing sissy about what we're doing here. We're forging a new world, and there's nothing sissy about that, and it's real man stuff, and it's masculine. And that's the image we want to portray. We want to hedge off this garbage that we get thrown at us by the social justice whiners.
I think it's also about the courage to pursue what you believe is true and accurate for yourself, and don't care so much what other people see as right or true. It's like you examine things for yourself, and then you go in that direction.
Well, like I said, to be unapologetic about it.
Unapologetic, right? And never admit that you're wrong. That's one of the things we learned around here. I'm unapologetic for what I say. And that's always been Mgtow, hasn't it? The strong language that we use.
No, we know what we say, and we say it when we do. And that's Mgtow is really.
It's like it's freedom. It's breaking free of this programming and all the stuff that's put in our heads. We just say things like it is with the words we want.
Well, see, here we go back in the lexicon. The words that we want that have to be refined a little bit more.
Yeah, we have to form that. We have to form when we say it, we all say it the same.
Right, so everybody understands what we're trying to put out there, and everybody understands it the same way. Of course, you can't have everybody be the same mindset, but at least have the cognizant realization of what is meant by this person putting out this content.
Yeah, that's
so that there's no confusion. That's the thing. I think too many people want to take things in their own way, and it builds a lot of confusion, and that's what the comments section end up being a pissing match of people perceiving things in different ways.
Yeah, that would be great if Stardust would start writing. And someone asked him that question. He's a linguistics expert, and he's very good at what he says, and he says it very proactively, what he wants to say, and it comes off very well. Maybe Stardust, if he can start writing, and he said he would, and give us examples of how to say things and get on the same page. And Barbarossa, to a good point, has done that. It's the leaders have to lead.
Yeah.
But it's like it's really hard to say things that cannot be interpreted in different ways. So how do we actually speak, or communicate?
Because you have to reiterate what it is you mean. You have to give that explanation.
Yeah, there's
like basically just think a bit more about what you say, so it doesn't get
no. You need to clarify. what it is that you're trying to impart to other people. You have to clarify it, make it very clear.
Like pedagogical, sort of.
Yeah, it's
lots of examples and then
the who, what, when, where. You know,
words.
Yeah, the who, what, when, where, and then we work from there into why, and then how. Stuff like that, you know. And there's I'll look it up real quick. What people that write theses use it all the time. And when you wrote in a college, you know, there was a certain way you wrote, and it was in an active voice, and we need to take
it's the same along the lines of broadcasting or reporting or interviewing.
Yeah.
How, what, when, where, why. Aren't those the things?
Yeah, objective terms is like what I want to say. I'm going to look up the actual. There's a web page dedicated to how to talk like this.
We got a question in the chat from Van Dyke.
Van Dyke, okay.
I would like to know if a healthy young 20 to 30 years old man with a healthy sex drive can be happy without women.
Yes. I say yes too.
Yeah, you could be happy without women. It takes a little mental training, doesn't it?
Yeah,
of course, it's self-control. It takes self-control, and women don't make your life complete. If you need sex with a healthy sex drive, well, you can have sex without having women in your life.
And that goes back to the same.
But it's your hobbies, like, and pursuits that make you happy as a man, right? And being with your friends and stuff.
Yeah, living within your own skin is the important part. To learn how to live within your own skin, be comfortable with who you are, and then it grows from there. I don't need validation from a woman. I don't need validation from anybody because I'm that guy, having confidence. And
right, exactly. I'm very happy with what I do. Regardless of how anybody likes it or not. I'm going to do it. It makes me happy.
It makes me happy.
Right.
That kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, reminds me.
Sorry.
It's yourself who knows yourself best, so everyone else can just piss off, like Warrior says.
Yeah, piss off, yeah. You know, I used the coffee thing. When I first started coming around Mgtow, I'd always say, you know, when I was married, I never got to choose my coffee. And now that I'm single, and I'm alone here, the first thing I do in the morning is I make the coffee I want. I make it how I want. I make it the strength I want. I put whatever the hell I want in it. And if that's a shot of whiskey, I put that in there. And I learned from the littlest things in starting in my morning how to make myself happy again, and not how to, because I was making everybody else happy. I was the entertainment.
Yeah.
And learning how to entertain myself, and I drink my coffee. I like it. I like what I have. I'm not drinking McDonald's coffee no more. And then I go upon my day, and I take that attitude with everything I do. If I like this, and I like it the way I like it.
Right. It's the little things actually that matter, not the big things. You know,
right.
It's all the little things. Yeah, all throughout the day, of you know. Just going somewhere and then saying, well, you know, gee, I don't really need to leave and go home. I don't have to be there for any reason, or I don't have to explain myself to anybody. And isn't this nice, you know? Or if I want to stop and, hey, that looks interesting, I want to walk through there, or I want to check it out, or I'd like to eat there, or I'd like to have a beer there, or whatever. All these little things, they add up. And that's what makes your life complete. You know, it's not this having a woman that might possibly give you sex and, you know, where you been, what are you doing, where you going, you know, you can't do that. I don't like those curtains. I don't like this. Jesus Christ, man, come on. I'm already working myself up here. You know, it's the small things that you do for yourself that you have to be aware of. You have to realize that you're doing these things because you're happy doing them. You like them, you enjoy them, and you have that freedom. No responsibility to anybody else but yourself. That's so freeing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I recently I was going to the gym a lot, but I found I have a weight at home. So right now I just pick it up, maybe once or twice a day and do it, and it feels really good after. So that's one thing I've started enjoying more.
Oh yeah, we were going to talk a little bit about men's health today, and we wanted to get on that subject and about vitamins, working out, what you do to keep yourself. Do you walk? A lot of men don't walk, and that's going to kill them. I noticed the oldest guys in my neighborhood, I always seen them walking, and just a simple 2-mile stroll a day is it, man, it does so much for yourself, and it provides a real clear mental image. You calm down. It's a very calming effect, and we can, like, working out. You don't have to work out like everybody else works out. Me and Zeta were talking. I have stretch bands. These stretch bands, and if you walk into my house, it's really funny. They're on each doorway. I put them in each doorway, so as I go through the doorway, I might grab them and just do a set of stretch bands, and that's 30, 45 pounds, and I work out that way. That's the way I work out, because that's the way I like to work out. Sometimes we get pressured in the gym, and some of us aren't very social creatures.
You don't need so much. You need like maybe a good pair of shoes and buy like a pair of weights.
Yeah, a good pair of shoes and some stretch bands. Yeah, and you're healthy.
It's funny you bring that up. I've lost 7 pounds in the last month and a half, and it's due to the fact that I've been going to these flea markets, which are, they're relatively large flea markets. They take quite a bit of walking. I walk slow, and I do need a cane when I do that type of walking, but yet I go out there and do it. And then I've been involved with my little paneling project here, which I'm sure everybody is tired of hearing about, but okay, but it's something that's gotten me going. So I've been going to the stores more. I've been picking out stuff, that's kind of neat, and I'm going to different places to find decorations or something that goes with this motif, that motif. So I'm getting more energetic. I'm doing a lot more walking. I'm sweating some. Of course, it's Florida. It's hotter than hell. Yeah. So I'm going out there. I'm doing certain things, and I've lost 7 pounds around my waist just in the past month and a half, and I feel great.
Yeah, well, I'm right up there with you too. I actually had my physical done a couple weeks ago. I weighed in at 212 pounds, okay, and I'm just down to, I actually lost about 8 pounds myself, doctor's orders. But I mean, this goes right into Mgtow Health, which we probably should do a hangout or a podcast sometime. I think we had that discussed, and that's I think we're leading towards that, and I'd like to put 2 cents worth.
But it's getting your mind right too. Once your mind is right. Once my wife passed away, and I got over everything, and decided, the time to move on now. Quit dwelling on the past, quit, all this bullshit, and let's take the bull by the horns. And I did, and I started enjoying the piss out of myself, doing things that I hadn't done for a long, long time, and everything else. I'm enjoying it, and I'm reaping the benefits of that also. It all works hand in hand. You can't look for that one magic silver bullet. Right. It's not there. It's a bunch of things all culminating that end you up in this much better place. And God, I wish I could more put it out there and articulate it better of how that feels eventually. And I know the depression sometimes, and the anger, and the no hope for the this and that, it can get to you. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's there, man. It really is, and I can't emphasize that enough.
Right. Yeah, you all know I'm a big guy. I was struggling with my weight at the end of the winter there, and since I started walking, and I talked to Dark Knight, and me and Zeta talked to him once about the supplements we should be taking. And he gave me some ideas about the supplements I've taken. I'm down 50 pounds in 3 months here.
Wow.
I'm starting.
Good work.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel.
I also diet now.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't that I actively started taking on a diet. I just got more active, and it wasn't. I'm not sitting there eating ice cream. I'm as I would do in the winter. And what my first set of weights were? You guys might find this funny. I would take up 2 5-gallon buckets of water and fill them up with water to the appropriate point which I can lift. And now I fill those buckets up all the way. And when I go out my garage, the buckets are full of water, so I lift them up and I put some duct tape around them and some little padding. So I do my curls while I'm in the garage. And just naturally, I do it naturally because they're there, and I don't have to. I don't need expensive gym equipment. I take my walks, and as an older male too, I started taking the D-aspartic acid. That Dark Knight. I noticed an immediate. I feel more active now. I feel better, and there's a lot of things, and I'm not munching on chips and buying taco chips and eating those as I'm watching TV anymore, because I know what really makes me feel good is going to take a walk and talking to my neighbors, and I'll talk to 6 or 7 of them as I go up to the store. Now I got friends.
What is that asparic acid thing?
Yeah, the D-aspartic acid. It's a testosterone.
If you have it handy there, I'm actually interested as well in that. What Dark Knight recommended, if you could post that, it'd be great. I think a lot of guys might get something out of that too as well.
Yeah, it's a natural way. It'll raise your testosterone, and that's what we're talking about. Men here, we're talking about testosterone. It raises it 40%.
What? Is it legal?
Yes, I got it from Amazon.
Oh.
They
I wonder
shipped
if they have it here in Sweden.
I'd be interested in that myself.
Humanofort?
Yeah, the Humanofort was a good one. Yeah, I couldn't remember how to spell that. The Humanofort.
You should make a video about supplements.
Yeah, but I wanted to also talk about some supplements are bad for you, and you really, a guy like Dark Knight, and really doing your research and knowing what you're putting in your body, because during the winter I was taking supplements, but I was taking the wrong supplements, and it built the calcium up in my body.
Yeah.
And I overdid it with calcium, so I had to go to a doctor. I had to get calcium removers, and that was a big mistake, and I learned a lot from that. You can't put anything in your body. You have to know what your body needs.
Well, that amplifies arthritis too, doesn't it?
Yes,
calcium.
It amplified the arthritis that I have in my shoulders, and then I ripped my shoulder out because of the calciated and I told you guys, I ripped both my Achilles tendons in my life, and there was a point where I couldn't walk for 2 years, and now I went from there. I went to a cane, and then I stopped using my cane, and then I started walking a mile. You know what I started doing? I started counting the little slabs around the neighborhood. So it was just something to get me going. Before I knew it, I was walking 5 miles a day. And
yep. See, yep, that's the way it works.
My Achilles tendons healed, and that was a buildup of calcium. And calcium is so bad for men at our age, and calcium is really good for women, and you hear these banana diets for women and everything, but that's a woman's diet. A man's diet excludes calcium because it's bad for your brain, it's bad for your joints, and it collects on your heart, and it makes you lethargic. So when you pick your vitamins, take all that calcium, throw that away. A man's diet has more folic acid, it has more stuff that helps men, and you have to do your research when you're doing this. That might entail going to the doctor once, like Zeta had just said. Go to the doctor, find out your levels.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. And having a basic understanding from your blood work. Nowadays, my doctor gave me my blood work. I'm fortunate that I got I got some feedback from Dark Knight, or actually I'm still waiting for him. And Nico Chomsky offered me a couple of things. So this is also an advantage. But you're right, Joe. We do need to know exactly what the body requires. Okay. Folic acid, it's interesting you mentioned that. I noticed a difference. I was taking folic acid when I was doing my workouts about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And what a difference that made in conjunction with the diet that I was on, which was a
yeah,
performance
folic
diet.
acid actually. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have it here. I should buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
No,
helps
but
That
men.
thing that raised
again,
your
Joe's absolutely right.
testosterone by 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put up the diaspartic. It's diaspartic acid, and maybe I can plug my let me go get my my webcam. I'll plug that in and show you exactly what it is. So I'm gonna go do that right now.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
the older we get, the more we do get that low testosterone
Yeah.
thing, which is detrimental
Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
makes us more lethargic. You know, when the testosterone starts to wane,
But again,
and
this is something that we need to check, especially if we're going to up
It's
our
important to,
testosterone and all that.
eat enough
We need to get some
protein
medical
and
input. Sorry?
I'm sorry, Zeta, what
Yeah,
did you say? I didn't hear all of you.
Yeah, sorry. We do need some medical advice and medical insight, before we take that on, especially guys, if they're going to be in the 50-plus age. I mean, what I've got to watch right now are my triglycerides, okay, which is, it's all related to dieting, and I'm pre-diabetic right now, so I definitely have to make some modifications and changes, especially in my diet. So, like, for the past week and a half, I've cut out pretty much all carbs. I'm just getting the carbs from low carb vegetables, but there's no rice, there's no potatoes, no potato chips. I've cut out fried foods, and also refined sugar. That's gone. I mean, I'm having a bit of a tough time adjusting to to artificial sweeteners, right? But the difference I've lost 10 pounds in the past week and a half now. Okay.
Right, but there are options. With me, I had high blood pressure for the longest time, which has come down. Which has come down now, due partially to what I was going through with dealing with my wife there and everything else. But salt was a big killer for me, and I like a lot of salt. And I finally I tried sea salt, and then I found this stuff called no salt, which tastes better than real salt, and it has none of the sodium in it.
Yes, right.
And it's really gone and changed a lot of things. Now I'm still on adverstatin for cholesterol.
Yes.
But I anticipate on getting off of that very soon too. Because a lot of the cholesterol I'm taking in now is the good kind, not the bad.
The HDL cholesterol, which is what they're trying to regulate myself. We should stay in tune on that, Warhorse, because I'm working something similar right now. It was actually advised to me that eventually, if I cannot regulate this, that I have to go on statins, like your self-adverse statins, right, in order to control that. So, that's my whole thing, and I think I'm taking a Mgtow approach. Here I am faced with this now, as a man in his 50s, right, which is typical. I mean, I'm right in that statistic, right, and I'm no different than anybody else. But my take as a Mgtow is to bring this under control through natural means, through dieting, okay, and I'm going to check this out. And, of course, I've been ordered to go and exercise. I haven't exercised in over 7 years, okay, and I used to train in boxing and Muay Thai, right? So, very intense, and, unfortunately, I did get some damage on my joints from that. So I can't do that anymore. But, to get into, I want to get into cycling. I'm on the market right now for, that's something that I used to do as a kid, and cycling, working on cardio is the first way I'm going to attack that. But also introducing the right foods. It's recommended to bring that good cholesterol up, the HDL, right?
Right.
Olive oil and fish oils, omega-3, are really good oils to consider when to raise that and bring that into balance. So, right now I've got to go every 3 months to get my blood work done to see if this is regulated. But yeah, my take is use the natural means, use the available knowledge right now, and avoid taking medication unless I absolutely have to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? I got knocked off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got knocked off the air there for a second. I'm sorry about that.
Google Plus, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we doing there?
But the basics is to keep your testosterone high, isn't it? Basically, you do weightlifting and you eat enough protein.
Well, that's just it. If you're going to take a workout regime like that, where it's you gotta identify what you're going to do, right? So if there's going to be weights, if you're going to be doing circuit training, weight training, whether it's free weights or actual machines, you need to understand, how much how much you're going to burn for one, but how much protein you need to take, if you're going to be building muscles
Like
or if you're going to be
the
strength.
recommended, I think it's 1 or 2 grams per kg of body weight.
Yeah, well, before you get that, you got to do your body mass index, your BMI, and for anybody listening, please excuse me. It's been 7 years, so if my terminology is off, please excuse me. But hopefully I can be corrected. But that's something.
It's really easy to diet because you can use this Harris and Benedict formula. You can calculate your recommended daily intake, and then you can just 1 pound of, or let's say 2 pounds of fat is around 7,000 calories.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You can just take off like 500 a day maybe of your.
But there's also good fat and bad fat.
Well, that's just it, and that's what we were discussing there at Warhorse. Exactly. I mean, when it comes to cholesterol issues and all that, identifying the good fats,
Right.
Fish.
It's like olive oils, walnuts, salmon. That's good fat.
Yeah, I just bought olive oil, and I searched them. I said no butter, and I'm just going to replace that with olive oil. It's just simple little things in your life, and it tastes better. And it tastes better. It's better for you. You learn how to cook with it. And I ordered some grapeseed oil too to use.
Yeah, grapeseed oil.
Well, you develop a taste for it after a short period of time, and going back the other way doesn't even taste right anymore at that point. So it's not that hard really to change your food intake or your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a transitional period, and once you're over it, you're probably going to enjoy it better and reap the benefits of it a lot more.
That's just it. And what Joe was leading to is that when you make that change in your life, namely your diet, you're going to start cooking for yourself more, right? So that invites, learning different techniques and, and improving flavor. And one of the things, Warhorse, is that, there's 2 things here. I'm starting to find that the alternatives actually taste better, than the other food, the junk that I was eating. And so that gets my curiosity going, and wanting to make time to do some cooking,
Another good tip is lines. Learn to make Indian food or use those types of spices. Because
it also becomes a little bit of a hobby, if you will, by cooking and doing your own thing, making your own type of recipes. And what I recommend highly, which I didn't do in the beginning, is write down your recipes, because a lot of times you forget them, you don't make it enough or anything, but it becomes a hobby of buying a certain type of frying pan, cooking utensils, additives and what have you, and cooking times, and it can be enjoyable.
Absolutely.
And be very, very healthy.
I have a friend from India. I got to know him, and he cooks really cheap food. Basically, he buys like these big packs of beans and lentils, and he uses like chili, ginger, onion, garlic, and Indian spices, and it tastes so good, like really good, and he eats very cheap also.
Yeah, I've also noticed that certain Asian cuisines, the stir frying, everybody thinks, ooh, it's stir fry and all that. No, actually, you can control your stir fries. Okay, for one, you can put 1 tablespoon of oil into a wok, right? And then the vegetables themselves with the water content, once you cover that, that'll steam and cook your vegetables with just that little amount of peanut oil or whatever Asian oil you're doing for a stir fry. So there's a lot of value in that. And the other cool thing about doing stir fries, it doesn't take long. And you're opening up a new thing, getting creative, try different sauces, and create your own pad thai, a Mgtow version of pad thai, for example.
Right.
Look at
I think someone has to start a Mgtow cooking channel soon.
Yeah. When you cook with vegetables like that, you're remembering you're remembering your folic acid, and we always have to remember when you're searching the internet here, half of these diets are made for women.
Yes.
They do not take men's health in account. So you're going to have to do the research, increase your folic acid, increase your testosterone. Always remember you're a man.
Yeah.
And research these things, because they're going to give you horrible advice on the internet, and you can get horrible advice anywhere at any bar,
Yeah. But again, it ties in what we were saying earlier. It's important for every man to really get to know their body. Okay, I think that's as Mgtow as it gets. Okay, I mean, I certainly, I have no choice now but to, right? And I mean, I had, and I did study this years ago, but then I neglected all that, because of in business and all that stuff as an excuse. Hello, but eventually, hey, everything that when the doctor read me the Riot Act, I knew exactly what I need to do, right, from past experience. And you're right, Joe. It's really important for men to realize what is their proper frickin' diet. There's not enough.
These vegan diets are so horrible. I've been seeing these vegan diets around for men, and you will lose a lot of weight, and you will lose your muscle too as a man.
Exactly.
And having muscle when you get older, the most attractive older men have a moderate amount of muscle left. And I know you've all experienced this in your life. When a man starts dying, he gets very, very skinny, he gets very, very frail, and his body starts shutting down. Keeping that muscle on your body as an older man is going to be so important.
Yeah.
But a vegan diet is going to kill you. A banana diet is going to kill you. Get in touch. Get in touch with being a man, and a little bit of meat and that protein, fish, is good for you.
Well, and I think it's variety. It's a variety of things. Like for me right now as an example, when it comes to meats, later on I'm going to have some nice beef tenderloin with my dad. Fantastic. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be doing that every other day, even though I do steak. I think our bodies there's an element, and especially with males, with men, that we need variety. So, you've got your fish, you've got your chicken, turkey, and, when it comes to beef, especially on a diet, like for me right now, for beef, I'm going to be focusing on flank steak. That's the leanest part of beef that you can get. And, of course, learn different techniques on how to cook that. You want to know a good recipe that you could use flank steak? Make your own fajitas.
Oh, there you go. Out on the grill, that's excellent. And make it a little smoky out in a natural environment outside, and it gives you something to do. You can have friends over, prepare this. And you don't have to throw the old chicken or beef or steak on the grill. You can make a lean meat and then throw some fajitas on, and the guys are going to like it just the same as they like it, because we just like eating sometimes.
Well, that's right. That's right. And also looking at looking at vegetable proteins. I mean, even the vegetarians and vegans have some valid points I found. Nutrition speaking. I believe in balance, man. Okay?
Yeah, with the beans, men like beans naturally. When you look at the cowboys and you figure what did they eat out on the range?
Oh, jeez, man. Civilizations were built on pork and beans and beans.
Pork and beans,
a lot of protein there. A lot of protein.
Well, of course, because that's, if you were working on a ship, they're going to bring out that Irish stew, and they're going to serve that. What was it? It was grog, and I'm referencing this from Master and Commander. They were eating grog. What was grog? It was rich in frickin' protein, because that's what if you're going to be doing some heavy lifting and jabbing a sword through somebody, you better have the energy and the strength to do that. They knew that.
You're constantly tearing your muscles down.
Exactly.
Doing that type of manual physical labor, whatever it may be, and protein is the first and foremost thing that'll keep your body in tune and up to par.
Yeah.
So things like beans, are incredibly high in protein.
Absolutely. You go to the Spartans. I was watching a fight, a fight documentary on the history of fighting in the martial arts, right? Back the Spartans, way before BC, they found out that if you just, they were feeding their not the gladiators, but their warriors, right? Mm-hmm. A roasted chicken and a variety of salads, right? And just greens and chicken. And what they discovered when they cut out the potatoes and the rice, these guys were building more energy and strength, which is what they needed for battle. So they even, adjusted diets way back when. Okay, right. So there is data available, and I think we have it available. It's and of course having it soundboarded with somebody who knows what they're doing or has the experience, is very important to guys, man.
Yeah, what Dark Knight was saying with the diasporic acid and the hemenophort is that. Well, it goes back to a protein binding on that in egg yolks is the same thing as an egg yolk, and the acid binds with the B12s bind with the egg yolk, and so men, if you want to take in more of something, bind it with an egg yolk, and you don't have to go buy these expensive things to on Amazon or at your local GNC store that cost you $60-$70. Simply adding egg yolks to your diet and getting rid of the egg white, or eating the egg white in the morning for breakfast, and then saving the egg yolk for your supplements, and then adding your supplements to your egg yolk. That's going to take your input in a certain percentage more. So, and it goes back to us men, what we do. A woman's automatically going to throw that egg yolk out. And we hear that no, man, you're a man. Remember that you're a man.
Yeah. No, understand your anatomy. Understand your own man's physiology, right? Get your blood work done. And, that's another thing. It's terrifying, especially, for older MGTOW. It becomes a scarier deal having to go to your doctor. You're just approaching 50, and guys get spooked and scared off, and really it's what you got to weigh out is, if you do have a condition or something, catch it before it gets worse. And
right,
that's really important. Guys don't go and get checkups, and I'm saying to MGTOWs, please go and get a checkup every now and again.
Yeah, they do horrible things to us when we go in for the first time when you hit 52, and it's a scary experience because they want to put things inside of you that are not natural.
Oh, yeah, colonoscopy, hello.
That's what my doctor told me.
Fucking rotor shoved up my ass, yeah, I know.
He told me after the exam, he says, that's what you get for turning 50. I'm like, holy shit, man, really? Thanks, all right, oh, well. That's the way it goes. All right, I'll be right back, guys. I got to do some things real quick.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. I'm happy I'm halfway there to 50.
Yeah, now what Reflections was saying about the Indian diet, now I used to go to an Indian store around the corner from me, and it's a unique experience the first time you go and do this.
Yeah.
Because they have all the spices, and then what you're going to notice is there's going to be a rack with about 30 kinds of beans that you've never seen in your life before.
Yeah.
And I started cooking with those and making soups and making that green soup out of that green bean. I have no idea what it's called.
Lentils? Dal?
No, it's like a lentil, but it's a smaller Indian bean.
Yeah, and it's green in color?
It's got like a mintish flavor to it.
Mintish flavor. I think it's a dal. Dal means, dal, D-A-A-L.
Yeah, and it was really good. I found it really pleasurable to eat it, and then I can use it as a sauce. Just getting out of your comfort zone sometimes and going into a store like that, the people in there will explain to you how to do these things, and they'll give you the recipes, and it expands your happiness then,
Yeah, eating Indian food for me, it's so satisfying because it tastes so much. So I've learned to cook
kinds of different flavors, and they're using some really good spicing too as well. Turmeric has some amazing properties. I don't have the data available. Turmeric is really good, and that's the foundation and basis of curries. Okay, so that's something to look into.
Yeah, be careful with those hot peppers, but
yeah, the hot peppers. Yeah, well, the peppers were mainly used as preservatives. Right, to preserve the food, right, and for curing meats and stuff like that. That's always been, the peppers and salt is also. I'm just doing some research.
As I
Salt has
understand it,
been forever, okay? And you guys in the Scandinavian countries know what I'm talking about when I say gravlax, right?
Yeah.
Cured salmon, right? Very common in Sweden and Norway there, where they use salt to extract all the water out, and it goes through its own cooking and drying process. You add some dill to that and all kinds of spicing, and it gets absorbed into the salmon, and and that's 3 days later you put that in the fridge, and you've got something as close to smoked salmon, right? And for those of you who are Canadian, you know what I'm talking about with some of that BC or Atlantic salmon. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah. It's like, as I understand it, the basic of Indian cooking, it's like chili, ginger, garlic, onion, and then you have also garam masala. It's sort of like a spice mix.
Yes, garam masala, very nice too.
Oh yeah, masala is nice. You can buy it in a packet already mixed too. You don't have to mix your own, and they have like 10 different kinds in those little packages in the Indian stores that you can just use a little bit of it, or you can use a lot of it, however your taste is, and it just assists.
Like, 2 tablespoons maybe, like you can have.
Yeah, they just come already pre-made for you, so you don't have to do all the brain work on cooking. We want to get that. We want to do something real fast sometimes, and just having thinking your way through it, a little bit of oil, some vegetables, a little bit of meat, and one of those mix packets is a great dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And healthy.
Yeah,
a lot of, and this is the thing. Another thing, I guess, because I live in perhaps the most multicultural city in the world. Per capita, there's over 173 different cultures, and it's almost every other neighborhood you're going to get a delicacy, from around the globe, depending on where you're at in the city. And what I found is even every other culture, has something to offer that is healthy. We've talked about Indian cuisine here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Asian stuff, the Vietnamese cuisine is very good, very simple, and certain Chinese. Now, you got to be careful with Chinese, is sometimes they over-fry. The fried foods can be a detriment. Now, when you're younger, fried foods, there's quite a bit of a tolerance. But as you get into the late 30s and 40s and into 50s, watch out for fried foods, guys.
Yeah. We got a little feedback from somebody. Can we check our mics real quick?
Let me.
Okay, I think that was no. No, it's not you, Zeta.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Warhorse, are you there?
Yeah, Warhorse is on now again. Let me.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any feedback or anything like that.
Okay, maybe it's I don't know where it's coming from. It's probably Google on my end then. Okay, let's get back to the subject. Men's health is and we all work out differently. We all look at ourselves differently. We all have different bodies. Let's be aware of that. And how about drinking water? How much water do we all drink a day?
Good one.
Yeah, that's I've just started, and it's a conscious effort. I said this once. Your body's screaming for something, and you're eating some potato chips. You want to make a few hot dogs. You eat that, and that doesn't do it. Sometimes all your body needs is a glass of water to take those cravings away. And we forget about it. Drink a 12-ounce glass of water. See how you feel. See if those cravings go away. And most of the time, I find I'm not going to sit around and eat pizza at night or chips or anything like that. If I just take in the right amount of water before I go to bed, or and waking up, and we all do this. All of us men do this. We have the midnight snack.
Oh yeah,
the Subway sandwich in the middle of the night.
Yeah, done that. Awesome. I'm guilty.
Yeah, just make sure you have your proper amount of water, or keep some. You know what I keep around now? I keep the sugar-free Kool-Aid stuff. The lemonade mixes.
Crystal Light.
Yeah, Crystal Lights. It's probably the best to a taste.
That's probably the best one out there. Yeah, that's what I used to drink when I was working out. Water intake. Yeah, Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I'm on a program right now, and it was recommended for me to drink up to 60 fluid ounces, American ounces, or 2 liters of water per day. And the theory behind it is, it's not theory, it's actual fact, is that drinking water helps burn fat. If you're on a program to burn fat, you need to drink at least, depending on your body size and everything, but up to 2 liters, 60 fluid ounces water per day.
Yeah, that's it's good practice. I find when I'm craving other things is when I'm not drinking my water, and I'm not doing that, and then I forget. It's just one of those things. Water is so natural, I forget to drink it.
Exactly. Well, and that's true. And I'm glad you brought that up there, Joe, because I have curbed my cravings by just drinking water. And it just went away. And it was a good regulation, especially now that I'm going through right now, trying to cut out carbs and sugars and all that. Water, I can see my water plays an important part. And I'm losing the weight. I'm losing the fat around my belly. It's slowly waning, and that's the indicator, guys. When you look at your belly fat is an indication of pre-diabetes and other complications.
Yeah, no, I think something else Dark Knight brought up with us was the magnesium intake. We magnesium, and it was a binder with the egg.
There were so many things, Joe, that in that hangout that we definitely need to organize a Man's Health hangout and put these questions forward. And also looking at the chat room too as well, the guys are asking a multitude of questions.
Okay.
So
let's take a look at the
continue.
Chat. Let me get to that page. What questions are they asking?
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Let's take a look at what these got.
Teacher Unbound wants to know about cooking tools. Well, basics usually suffice. Other than I made on Osiris's video there, he was using a metal spatula on a Teflon pan, which made me cringe immediately. And I remember my wife, 28 years ago, hitting me in the head with a spatula to not do that, and I see her point. So, getting the right type of cookware that goes along with each other is probably the most important thing. And then what type of cooking you're going to do. Most of this stuff can kind of be found on the internet, when it comes to cooking tips, like what type of a wok to get for if you're going to do that type of cooking, or what type of grill that you would want for your particular needs, which vary also. All these things, there's nothing written in stone there. It really isn't. You have to
rice cooker can be quite practical also.
Yeah, rice cookers. And I was going to suggest for anybody living in a major city, go to your Chinatown. Okay, in the Chinatown, you're bound to find some of the those places that will sell you a wok for dirt cheap if you were to go to Sears or something like that. So check those places out, and they have all the right tools.
Yeah, I wanted to say Heartburn wants to jump in if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, get them in here.
Okay.
The other thing I would like to say is that a crock pot is invaluable.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oh my God, can you do things in a crock pot?
The chilies you can make in crock pots, and here's the cool thing is that you can put all the ingredients, okay, and just mix it at the early in the morning. Just put the recipe right into the crock pot, and about 8 to 10 hours later, man, you've got a wicked chili going on.
Yeah, and even doing any type of meats, roasts and stuff like that with potatoes, carrots, and onions and everything. It usually tastes better the second day around.
Yeah, that's
after
right.
Oh man, a crock pot is invaluable. I mean, I haven't used mine in quite a while now, but I'm starting to get the hankering for it again.
Yeah, and it takes all that practice again, trying out different recipes.
Well, I wasn't doing the crock pot thing. I was doing a lot of the chopping and cutting and what have you. But, my wife was basically doing the the timing and this, that, and the other. You know, she put things in front of me,
Right.
and I would alternate some things and say, well, let's try this, let's try that, and it worked out great. But it was never a singular progression, if you will. You know, she didn't do it completely, and I didn't do it completely.
Right.
So now I'm looking at doing that, and you know, getting away from the deep fryer, because I love to deep fry food, and I know that's probably the worst thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the killer right there, Warhorse.
Yeah, I know. Hey, but I've been using peanut oil, so you know, give me a little bit of a break.
No. Hey, I'll still sneak one of the deep fry in there every now and again. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, waffles and fried chicken. Whoa.
Yeah.
With some of the Canadian maple syrup. That's, oh man.
Pork
I wanted
chops.
to say, I wanted to say I sent a private message to Heartburn if he wanted to jump in. It'll be in his private. I don't know. I really don't know how to send that Google message that you send out.
Well, what I did is I go to his. I go to the channel in the discussion page, and I posted it there. Of course, that might somebody catches on.
Yeah, he's got to go to his private messages to
That's it.
and open up his private messages, and it'll
Exactly.
the link will be
if,
in there.
if he's on Google Plus, I'll hit him right now in Google
Okay.
Plus. Let's see, where is he? Oh my gosh, what's been going on here?
But fried foods, it's okay, right? It depends on what oil you use.
Right. Yeah, taking out the. You want to take out the fat sometimes too.
Sunflower oil and rapeseed oil, maybe.
Yeah, I've been using grapeseed oil lately, and it's got such a unique taste that it opens up a whole broad new cooking you can do. And I have the George Foreman grill, and what I do is I cut up planks of yams or sweet potatoes into sort of a thick plank, like a steak size, and then I coat them with the with a little bit of spices, not much, and the grapeseed oil. And once you start smelling that cook, you're just gonna love it. It's like, oh, that's great, and it's good for you.
Yeah. I've been trying out roast vegetables, substituting potatoes. You know, roast potatoes, and I've been using turnips and rutabaga. Okay. And and just half a sweet potato. You put that in an oven, roasted with some olive oil and stuff. Man, and it's good for you.
Yeah, and that's a thing. Changing from regular potatoes to a sweet potato or a gourd is really easy to do.
Yeah, and gourd. Yeah. Some of the gourd squash is good too. I've got a butternut squash ready to go there. And again, it comes back to that variety in diet, right?
Yeah, we eat way too many potatoes. They get pushed on us in society, and as men, we go somewhere. We have a hamburger and a big thing of fried potatoes. That's not really good for you. You can order at a lot of places sweet potatoes too.
They're starting to introduce that, and also turnips and rutabagas. All you have to do is add some salt after it's roasted. It's very similar to a potato, right?
Rutabagas are so good. Kohlrabi too. If you're looking for a great snack, you can grow kohlrabis in the northern hemisphere up here in your backyard, and you slice it. They're just like big radishes almost, and they're so good just to snack on at night.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, as well, is depending on your geographic location, find out what foods are available. The farmers markets are also something to look into. Where I live, just north of the city, there's a lot of trout farms, right? Smoked trout. We talked about smoking, I think, one time, Joe. About smoking our food. In the season of the year. But look at everything that's within, what's available to you within, a 10-mile or even a 50-mile radius, right? Find out what's there too as well, and that ties in with more of like a Paleolithic diet kind of thing, because
I've heard also that, and I don't know how true it is, but eating too much fish with a mercury content isn't really a good thing.
Well, it's balanced,
I don't know how much validity there is to that, but I like my fair share of seafood, whether it be lobster, fish, or shrimp. And, because of the price of it, I don't buy it that much. So I don't think I'm going to turn into a thermometer anytime soon. But, there's always something in moderation. Everything has to be done in moderation.
Yeah, moderation is really important. Even eating the vegetables and eating the beans and everything. If you do too much of them, it's gonna subtract from other things you need in your diet. And always remember you're a man and you need a lot. You need certain things in your diet. And if I ate sweet potatoes every day, I'll get just as fat as if I ate regular potatoes.
Right. Yeah.
And we men do those things. We decide, oh, I like one certain thing, and that's what I'm going to eat.
Well, you get on a tangent,
Yeah.
but then you burn out on it and you move on. If you stick to it forever and never diversify, that's where the problem runs in.
Yeah.
Which I diversify my food quite a bit. I do, however, eat a lot of chicken. I mean, a ton of chicken. And, most of it is made on the barbecue grill. So, and I don't eat the skin, which is the worst part of the chicken, actually.
That's right.
And, then occasionally I'll get the grocery store deep fried chicken, the whole bucket full of it and everything like that, which I'll reheat in a toaster oven, and that takes a lot of the fat and everything out of it too. So again, no skin. The dog gets that, and he probably won't thank me for that. But so yeah, you gotta kind of moderate things and think about how you're doing them, and still have it be very tasteful or tasty. A good meal that you're getting the most benefit from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This week, me and my son talked about it yesterday. And last year, I was riding a bicycle. I bought myself a mountain bike, and my son wants to go out mountain biking again. I gave away my other mountain bike to my other son, so I'm going to go buy another mountain bike, and that's something too. Mountain biking is so much fun, and I don't know. We got a bunch of trails around here, and at first, I started doing it very casually, very slow in the woods. But after about 2 months, I'll tell you what, I was up to speed, and it's very healthy for you, and it's fun. And back to the issue of getting your mind off of women all the time, a little thing like that, and then you have an extra hobby, and that's healthy for you.
Now, see there, I didn't even think about women until you brought that up again now.
See, okay, let's
I was
ban
thinking
that.
about all kinds of food, man, and cooking and doing, what's for dinner tonight and everything, and you had to bring up this damn pussy. Jesus Christ.
See that? I'm going to ban the W word. We're going to ban the W word on this channel. Yeah, but back to the subject of just getting your mind and what Van Dyke was asking. He's a 27-year-old man, and or 23-year-old, I can't remember, but his mind is obviously on that a lot of the time, And the question was, how do I make that not happen? And your what you do in life, what you decide to do, your activities, and keeping healthy and focusing on that, it will definitely help out.
Find something that means more to you than with, in my case, back when it was building, whether it was racing cars, show cars, motorcycles, things like that. That took my mind off of women so much. It was almost that, my wife had tried to divert my attention so many times by wearing a sexy outfit, coming out there and, trying to divert my attention. And I was like, man, please leave me the hell alone. I'm busy. I'm doing this. And, sometimes I regret that. I should have taken advantage of it for a little bit and then gone back to it. But I didn't. And it's not that hard to do. It really isn't. But if you're constantly whining about, oh, God, I need this, I need this, I need this, you're going to succumb to it. And unfortunately, you know, it might take a little bit of time. If you're a young guy, you got biology working against you very hard. And, you know, yeah, I don't know the exact answer, and it works different for everybody.
Every man.
It worked, you know, it worked differently for me. And, you know,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I wanted to talk to some of the younger guys too about that. My channel is definitely, you'll notice, an asexual channel. I think Zeta says he practices asexuality and moderation, and a lot of the guys like me that's been through the whole wars with women, we practice it naturally, and there was certain amount of events that led up to what we do in our lives. But for a 23, 24, 25-year-old man, it's okay to go do that once in a while. It's okay to go be with a woman and enjoy that. Yeah. I did plenty when I was younger.
Well, and, that's what I refer to my 20s as my fuck years. Right? Yeah. Literally, that's what it all came down to. And you know, and it's something that you know, now later in life kind of thing. You know, looking back and looking at the younger guys in their 20s, it's brutal. It's a fucking brutal proposition.
Brutal. Well, yeah, but here's the difference. The difference is we all ran around with a hard-on 24 hours a day, which is fine. And getting laid or having some type of interactions and having your sex and whatever is fine, as long as you are aware of the pitfalls and the danger in everything and how you proceed with it. Don't let the sex itself drive you into anything further.
And so it's an addiction. It
is an addiction, exactly. But you know, this is just saying, I think we are the only resource right now online to advise men of this. Okay, nobody else is doing it. We MGTOWs are the ones that are, you know, spelling it out for guys. You know, go out and have fun. But here's the risk assessment that's involved.
Right.
Okay? Right. And that's the foundation of MGTOW, and especially if you're going to tackle on this particular issue of quote unquote getting laid.
Yeah, and it's like a case of beer. I'm not going to drink the whole case of beer in one day. You know, it's like our eating practices, like we were saying, everything in moderation. Exactly. And the W word, and we won't mention her name, that addiction will become full time. And we've all went through that, where it's a full-time project, and then your utility, everything about you is being siphoned through that, and that's what Mgtow is about. Ooh, we got it.
And this is a very important part of men's health. You know, since we're you know, expanding from what we've been discussing here, you know, this is an important aspect of men's health. Understanding your neurology to some extent or other, what goes on in your brain when you quote unquote fall in love, or when that broad turns you on, you know, that makes you fucking dick, you know, go ahead. You know, it's important to understand that. A lot of the things and a lot of the problems for myself was not being able to ask the questions, right? There's this built-in mechanism in society that you're not allowed to question these things, right? You know?
Oh yeah.
And I say, you know, guys, question everything about sexuality, about what's going on, you know, and you know, we've got the answers here in Mgtow. I vouch for that.
I did a video recently where, you know, I argue that people do things just because it feels good, you know. They want a chemical fix in their heads, and basically sex it's the strongest chemical fix you can have. One of them, at least, unless it's like opiates or something.
Yeah.
So it's like everything can be an addiction, really. Like watching television, you do it like because you get some dopamine fixes or something. It's like everything you do, it's to get that fix in your head. So,
yeah, so everything in moderation, and Mgtow does the Mgtow Pro. All roads lead to Mgtow, and you incorporate Mgtow in your life, and you're going to fix a lot of these problems that with the sex, the drinking, and it does. I taper and moderate my drinking very well in my old age now, and I'm not really that old. I say I'm old, but I'm not really that old.
Yeah.
But I think I got an old man spirit now because I went through the Mgtow thing. Warhorse, did you run out of a lighter?
Yeah, sorry about that, man. These goddamn things aren't filling up. All right, I'm gonna mute there.
Okay.
It's that old Zippo.
That's that old. I got one here, and I always run out of. At the most inopportune times, it's not going to light.
Yeah.
But all roads to lead to Mgtow, and we can have these discussions as men now, and fulfill our needs, because so much of our life, so much of our utility is about fulfilling women's needs. And oops, I said the W word. We should get a little thing where we get a little X against our name if we say the W word.
It should be like an annoying beep, you know.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what Mgtow's about: moderation and improving your lifestyle, improving your health. And there's so much benefits to that in Mgtow, and there's so much to know that you know what? No one's ever talked about it with us. No one's ever sat us down and says, "This is the man's body." There are vast differences in the man's body.
Well, not to us older gentlemen, if you will. We didn't grow up with that type of open speech. This is something that's changing now. And this is what we're all trying to provide, and trying to get through to a lot of the younger guys that, we're not just a bunch of old farts talking shit here. We've been through this. So what we're trying to do is keep you from making the same mistakes.
Yeah, I wanted to tell a little story about when I was younger and making those mistakes. I used to do a lot of mountain climbing when I was younger, and a lot of the young guys do it now. And I used to have to jump from one ledge to the other and use your legs and use your the risk factor involved with these things, mountain climbing, bike riding, exports, and that are going to come back to you when you get older too. Your knees aren't going to feel sports. If you're involved with sports and you're always putting it's like a football player. If you're always putting that pressure on your knees are going to be bad when you get older too. And sports should be done in moderation, risk. And as we talk about risk a lot, think about the risk before we do this. And then when you get 45 years old, your feet are going to feel better. And my father always used to say, change your socks twice a day, Joe. And I never understood that until I got older.
Yeah.
And if you do that now at 23, 24 years old and you get into good habits and risk factors, you're going to notice when you're older, you're going to be so much more happier and healthier. And I had to deal with those two torn Achilles tendons because of the damage I did to my body when I was younger. And not being able to walk for 2 years is a nightmare. It's a living hell.
Here's another one, Joe, I want to add to that. For those guys that have a little pot belly, ask yourself if you also have back problems, and wonder why you have back problems, right? And I found out it's very simple. A lot of my back problems was, when I had my little pot belly. And if you think about it, really, if you were a washboard and you were to put 25 pounds right on your stomach and carry around all that, tell me if your back's not going to be killing you at the end of the day.
Oh, so right, yeah.
Because the back has to compensate for the weight that's up front, right? And that's what causes a lot of lower back pain.
Yeah, the beer.
So that's not do as well.
Right, and one of the exercises most men do are sit-ups, which pull your muscles tight forward. But there's nothing to strengthen your lower back to pull your body backwards.
Yes.
So when you add that weight to the front, the muscles in the back are not up to par to pull that weight and carry it and hold it back. So this is why you start to slouch. This is why you get lower back pain.
Exactly.
All of those reasons. And it's partially because, we're, when we're younger or whatever, we're trying to get that six-pack,
Yeah.
But that's only tightening the front.
Yeah.
When the front grows, there's nothing in the back. to strengthen that. So,
and that's what they refer to as core training. Core training isn't just for the frontal abs. It's the whole. It's your back muscles. It's everything that surrounds.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a resistance training, like the bands I was saying use. They don't also pull in the front, but when you're letting go, you got to remember to keep that pressure on as you're releasing too. And you can lay down and do the resistance training. And most of us get in the big trap of doing weight training with heavy weights that only go one way.
Well, I guess Heartburn isn't going to join us.
No, yeah.
I sent him another message there too, and I think he got 3 of them now. So I guess he's doing other things.
Yeah, well, good. In the chat room there, we've a lot of guys have raised some interesting points here, and yeah, this is definitely something that we can continue on. Talking about health issues like this.
Oh yeah, this is a great subject for men and Mgtow, and it takes our minds off all the drama that's been happening around Mgtow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We get so wrapped up in that, and after a simple discussion like this, after on a Sunday, I feel much better about Mgtow. Do you?
Oh, absolutely. This is really good. I mean, we've got 15
people
in the room right now, and we've been getting a steady number here. I've noticed. So, yeah, we're doing good, man. We're doing really good. This is really good.
Yeah, I've kind of checked out on the negative shit and actually watching anything other than maybe a few minutes of something that comes up on my Google Plus page that has been forwarded, and I'm not checking out subscribers or my subscriptions to everybody and seeing what they have to say. It's starting to become too repetitious. The hate talk is everything that's mixed up right now has gotten to the point of I'm just bored with it. I got other things to do in life, actually, which are much more interesting. And
the other thing too, Warhorse, all this stuff that we're seeing is also cyclic, and there seems to be a 6-month cycle. Whether it's going to be a racial issue or whether it's going to be, if it's going to be an egg throwing match, egg in the face kind of scenario. It has its own cycle, and I'm in that. I'm fed up with that shit too as well. I want to start talking about, about this shit. What we're talking about now,
Right. Yeah, this is good. This is positive information.
And I think the chat room will affirm that too as well. Are you guys interested in what we're talking about here in the chat room?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Let's talk about the stress levels in that. All our life as men, we get the stress thrown on us, and from the time you take your first job, or even from the time you go into school, there's a higher level of stress for men that's expected. We have to go into these stressful situations. We have to deal with this drama all our lives and these irritants, and we're tucking that away. We're tucking it away. The stress is building, and that'll kill you. And that'll kill you.
In a way, Joe, we do thrive on it. I did, and I wasn't even cognizant of it.
Yeah.
But I thrived on that constant go, go, go. The make the money, make the job, get better at what I'm doing, constantly bettering things. Almost becoming a yuppie. To the point of the big house, the pool, the more and more and more. I was thriving on it, even though after a while I became to hate my job. I hated, going out again. But then, look, after I got the yard done, and it took me 2 days to do the shit, and you'd sit there, you'd have a beer, you'd look at it, and you felt satisfied, like you accomplished this great thing. It was so beautiful. We thrived on it, and it's so ingrained in us that I don't think a lot of times we even realize it, to just sometimes say, fuck it.
Yeah, just fucking relax.
Yeah, and it's so hard. For me, it was, and after a while I said, well, if I don't cut the lawn today, or tomorrow for that matter, and I'll get around to it when I get around to it, it's no big deal. And it took a concerted effort to think that way. That's craziness. And I don't know where that came from. It just is, we're a funny breed.
Yeah.
And
What's the biggest killer of men? Hypertension. Hypertension is stress.
Hypertension, coronary, it's all interrelated there. But you're always going to see heart, and stress.
Yeah. And it goes back to Mgtow. If we start going down this road to drama every week here, and we're trying to push a better message, and then we get wrapped up in this road to drama, and then all of a sudden I stress, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah.
I'll just go do something else, which is probably good at that point, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
We got to end the drama and start acting like Mgtow is. Stress relief is important. Having a place to go where you can talk with other men, because you're not going to get that out in. You're not going to get that from society. You're not allowed to talk in society.
Meditation is also really good.
Meditation, yeah.
Yeah.
Theta.
Yeah, no, meditation, absolutely. If you're going to take care of your body, also consider your mind. There's a lot of resources online for that.
Because I believe cortisol, which gets released when you're stressed, it's bad for your testosterone. Also,
Yes, it is.
So it's important to be relaxed.
Right, cortisol takes so long to get out of your body. I was doing a little study on infant birth, and if an infant is born to a stressed out mother, this mother has pumped in so much cortisone into the body, it takes 5 years for it to get out of the body.
Cortisol, yeah.
Cortisol, yeah.
Yeah, that's the stress hormone. Yeah, that's a real bitch. Yeah.
And that's when men get angry. You're releasing cortisol. When you get upset, and there's so many emotions that will release that cortisol. A bad relationship with the W word is going to release cortisols into your body, and it's going to produce more stress, and it stays with you for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go away like we wish. We wish there was a silver bullet for these things where we can make it go away like immediately, but it doesn't. And these things are lasting. The stress it's a lasting thing that you're going to have to deal with and try to deal with over a period of time. And it's not just going to go away in a second.
Yeah. No.
And it's like if you start early with meditation, it's like the effect only gets stronger and stronger. So basically, when you're really good at it, you can just tap into it. Like, I do it right before bed usually for like an hour, and then I sleep really well. It's really nice. So.
Yeah, the sleep thing too. You tell your body it's time that you do your meditation, do your nightly routine probably. For me, I take my shower and I sit down, and if I am feeling hungry, I'll try to drink a glass of water and then grab a little snack if I can. Meditate for a while, turn off all the TVs, the radios, and just sit there in your favorite chair and think about the world, think about your body, and then it tells your body it's time to sleep. And then I go to sleep very natural now. I used to have huge sleep problems when I was younger because I couldn't shut my body off.
Yeah. I do that now. I don't turn the radio on, don't turn the TV on. I shut down the computers, everything. I turn on my couple of lava lamps, fire up a couple sticks of incense, draw a few of the shades, and me and my dog, we just sit here and zone out.
Yeah.
And it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going on, no input really, other than the incense smelling good, the lava lamps looking cool. It's a good feeling. It really is, to shut the world down around you.
Gratitude too. That's the time where you should think about how grateful I am to have Mgtow. And when I sit down at night and everything's quiet and I can see everything in my life, what I've accomplished over the last 4 or 5 years here in Mgtow and where I was before I came, I'm so grateful. And just to say to yourself and just take that breath and go, oh man, yeah, this is a good thing. This is great, and it's good for me.
I find myself doing that more and more, looking at the positive end of things and how they're working out to that degree. And
Yeah, hey.
Heartburn's here. Hello.
Greetings,
Hey.
gentlemen. Forgive me for being late. I could not figure out how to join. I'm still learning this.
Okay, yeah, we gotta add you to our group, and then we can just you can go to the G+ page and just click on Hangout when you want to. And
Okay, cool.
I think we'll do that this week. We'll try to add you into the group circle.
Great.
Am I added into the group?
Yes. Yes, we'll try to add you into this, so every week you can just click on the group Hangout, and then you automatically get into the group.
Cool.
Yeah,
So
once you
your
get
week?
the notification and you see the link, just click on the link. That's the easiest way to get right.
Google Plus or like
yeah,
email
Google
or
Plus. Open up your little quotation icon on the right-hand side, and that'll put up the whole line of your Hangouts and what do you call it? Your chats and everything else that you've been on. And when somebody sends you a link, it should go to the top. That should open up automatically. You'll get a notification, a little beep beep, and you'll see the latest link. Just click on the link, and boom, you're here.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so what's been going on with you this week, Heartburn?
Well, this week, well, let me tell you a quick story. I don't know if you guys have been checking out my YouTube videos, but right after I left last week, I hear an echo. I hope that's not me, because I just logged in. I don't want to be giving you guys an echo, so if that's me, please tell me right now.
No, I'm not hearing it. I think
okay, no problem. All right, as long as it ain't me, I don't, whatever. But so I was looking up my exes on Facebook and comparing them to what they used to be like when I dated them, and they're all a train wreck. You know, divorces, overweight. And then I found one of them. I found her mugshot online, and just a disaster of a human being. 37 years old. She looked like she was on meth. I don't know what the story was. She was taken in on grand larceny. I don't know what the circumstances were. And so what I did was I made an addendum to my video that I had made about just comparing my choices against what my exes would have brought me into had I stayed with them. And I made an addendum of this video with this girl's mugshot that I found after the fact, but then I regretted that I did it because I didn't want to be gloating in her condition. I was just glad that I, ended up not being with her. So then I looked up the other exes. I found 2 more mugshots, and I found an obituary. I recommend that everybody ought to do that. That guys that have been making the right decisions and have been vetting out these women and not allowing them to drag you into an unholy relationship, to take a look at them. It's unbelievable what their decision making have gotten them into. Not one of them ended up with a man higher up than where I am now. Not one of them ended up with a healthy life. Not one of them ended up with anything admirable. All of them were very promising when I knew them. Hypergamy, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's I know in my life I can look back and see some of the choices that the females have made were very, very bad. You got to wonder what the thought process there was. They're just retarded.
I think they're just acting emotionally. They're following their emotions. It's like
I hope I haven't.
Is the slave of their emotions, and for men it's usually the reverse. But of course there are, men who are more like a bit crazy, like go with their emotions. But yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the logic of it, emotions and feelings and all that stuff isn't very logical. It's metaphysical, and they run on these things sometimes, and they lead to very, very bad decisions in their life. And like you said, the drugs is also prevalent. And once a woman decides that she's going to be this free special flower, how many times have you seen the drugs enter into their lives? The crackhead, the meth head look. Oh God, that skinny meth head look is just you could tell they're not taking care of themselves anymore. And when they were with a decent, respectable man, they were at least taking care of their body and not pumping in toxins into it. But you know, what do they call the cock carousel? That's it leads to a lot of addictive behaviors, just like in men, and their addictive behaviors seem to go into hyperdrive, and that's what hypergamy is. Hyperdrive on females. They're in hyperdrive, and everything they do is hyper. The hyper drama, stress, the hyper drugs, the hyper alcohol, the hyper sex, and then within a short period of time, 5 years, they look like they've aged 20.
Oh yeah.
But I suppose it's the same thing for men too. If we get into that addiction phase, we could do the same thing to ourselves. But that's what Mgtow's about: not getting into that addiction phase, not letting these adverse social stimuli affect us in that way. And
yeah, that's also why meditation is so important, because it allows you to just sort of objectively observe your feelings and your thoughts, and then let them go. So they don't, grab hang of you and force you into doing something stupid.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I had a thought about that. Mind, body. You ever hear of mind, body, and spirit for cancer patients? They do this whole mind, body, spirit, and that's become a woman's program. Mind, body. But have you ever heard about mind, body, and spirit for men?
No, I haven't.
Not really.
No, it's something they don't want us doing. They want us to die before we collect our pensions, obviously.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
If we just started...
Easy. It's like if you're young and you have a very high sex drive, it's easy to just think with your dick.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Just sitting down someday, thinking about your body, get in touch with your body, thinking about what you look like, what you feel like. If you need a glass of water, like I say, thinking about what vitamins you want to take in your body, going to a doctor, having him research it, and think about yourself is really the Mgtow way. And and that all starts with that one red pill moment where you looked around and you said, hey, I'm not doing nothing for me. Everything's for the world, and I become the entertainment, I become the utility, I become the provider, I become the tax base, I become the worker bee. Everything's made by men, everything's done by men, and guess what? Guess who I forget in that process? Me.
Yeah, and look, the government, and I'm kind of apolitical anyway, but they don't want you to collect that Social Security. They want you to pay into it forever, work your ass off and everything else, and then when it comes time to collect it, you got to jump through hoops just to get it. They want to pay you a minimum amount to begin with if you want to draw it early, and early isn't really that early. I think 62 is the earliest you can draw Social Security, and if you want your full benefit, 65. That's not young anymore. You're close to, putting a couple feet into the hole.
Yeah.
So they want to keep that money, and the fact that they've already stolen so much of it in the past, and who's the most disposable? Of course, men are. And women need that support constantly, and they don't have a problem paying them. Yeah, it's really fucked up, and I don't think it's going to get any better. But if you can sway the system or use it to your advantage, do it whenever you have that opportunity. Don't be shy about it, because nobody else is. The women certainly aren't, and I don't know. Goddamn, I got off on a tangent here. Sorry, guys.
It is an emotional subject when we look at the way we have to deal with our lives. The possibility of living till 68 when I was 20 years old, and I'd look around all my uncles and all my and we have a very large family, so I got to see maybe 14, 15 uncles, and not a single one of them made it to collect Social Security.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's something to get emotional about. It's like my father never collected Social Security because he died of mesothelioma. He worked himself to death, never stopped working, even when he had the cancer, even when the cancer was killing him, he was still going to work.
Yeah.
You know, Stardust, he talks about these autopilots. Maybe you've heard of it, like the subconscious biological drives which guide our decisions in life, like thinking with your dick, or you can call it that if you want.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, the cure to that is mindfulness. Like, you're a bit more mindful of your how you say, um, the innate desires and thoughts and feelings, you know. So you get a bit more control because you can only control what you're mindful of. So
Right, yeah.
I think that's why I got the talk with him, Mgtow Talks, because I figured it out, sort of.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
we go back to the shame thing, and it's looked at if a man doesn't do these things like society says for him to do. Reflections. Can you pull back away from your microphone?
Oh,
Mike?
yeah.
Breathing into it. If a man, he gets these shame, and then they say, okay, you're being selfish. You're thinking about yourself. No, you're not being selfish by thinking about yourself. You're being mindful of your.
Yeah.
If
Of
we
your happiness.
yeah, it's saying if you do, and if there are any blue pill guys out there, if you take care of yourself, you're going to be able to take care of everybody else for a longer period of time. But it starts with taking care of yourself and being mindful of yourself, and you're not being selfish.
Yeah. They're very quick to jump, okay, and call you selfish when you start talking about doing things for yourself to better yourself. You know, it's an automatic societal response. Oh, you are selfish. Oh, you will not marry her. Oh, how selfish you are. And these messages are so fucking inbred into us, okay, that, you know, that's why I kept on saying, and I tell guys, always question the things that you were not allowed to question. This is as MGTOW as it gets, because it's precisely just that, Joe. This is how men will move forward.
Yeah, question everything.
Question everything.
Okay, yeah, kind of left me speechless there. You know,
have that attitude of questioning, and it's good to read maybe a bit of philosophy, because if you do that, you really learn to question everything.
yeah, properly. You know, Warhorse left. Okay. Yeah, and it's the things we don't do for ourselves in our life, especially in relationships. And we all know that first thing you do is you stop going on these relationship binges, and then it gives you the permission. Like I say about the coffee, I like to drink my coffee a certain way, but when I was in a relationship, it was always the pumpkin spice or the things that I didn't really like, but I did because I wanted to please her. And then that gets so ingrained into us. The first time I woke up in the morning and I bought the kind of coffee I wanted, put whatever I wanted in the coffee, and didn't get bitched at about putting sugar in my coffee, was a beautiful moment for me. It was like it woke me up and said, hey, there's a million things in my life that I can do for myself that's going to get me to that 72, 80 years old, and I'm not going to die of stress, and I'm not going to put myself through it. And guess what? You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be happy.
I think it's really disgusting for men to be indoctrinated that it's wrong to think about themselves or be their health or what they want. It's basically like you're supposed to be a slave.
Yeah, you're supposed to accept that. I hate to use the term Uncle Tom, but you're supposed to be that Uncle Tom. Accept your place. No, no, I'm gonna rage against that, and I guess you all know I'm not that guy. I'm not gonna accept. I'm gonna question it. Yeah. I'm gonna do what's best for myself, and screw those people that think screw them. If they think and generally what it is they want something for you. I can remember a time on the telephone. That every time I'd answer the telephone when I was a blue pill guy, I'd answer it, and it got so ingrained that I'd ask, the first thing I said, I wouldn't say hello, I'd say, what do you need? Because every phone call for 10 years was somebody wanting something from me.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you need to break free of that if you want to. That's what Mgtow is about, right?
Yeah, and I just, yeah, you got to cut those things off there where it's always going to be, what can I do for you, and instead of what can we make this an even, and we talk about equality. Let's talk about this in an equal way. What can we do for each other where you can make my life better? And if I take on a relationship, and this is even a rule what I have with guys now, because I do, blue pill men will stress you. They're gonna.
Yeah.
It's always, what can you do? Can you come and help me with a move? But it's never how we can do this mutually. And it's the same thing as we say when you go out to dinner, we pay Dutch, or else I'm going to pay for the dinner one day, but the next time you better be ready to pay for dinner. You know, and it's a mutual understanding that you get with not also women, but you get with men, and it develops a good stress-free relationships in your life.
Be aware of the vampires, those that suck the energy out of you, and you'll find that in the blue pill world, obviously. But be aware of vampires.
Yeah, it's prevalent in the blue pill world about
my father, he told me a story about his father, and he seemed to have like a Mgtow moment at the end of his life, because basically he started having problems with his heart because of all the work and stress and bad habits. So I think he left for early retirement, and he started going to an art school or something, doing art. And he said, if I only knew life could be this good, I would have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like, he went in the military, he worked really hard, supported his family, and fit everything there. So, and I think that transferred to my father also, because he has now started taking care of his health, because he got problems with his blood pressure and stuff. So it's like, it's not worth it in the end.
Yeah. We I just had a thought about that, but I lost it. Taking care of everybody else excludes you, and we often hear that you do these things, you get your job, you get your family, you get your you do this, you start a business, and it's going to lead to this wealth. And most of the time, we find out at the end that we had all these vampires sucking from us, and it led to the same place you could have had by having a moderate job, having some freedoms, taking a little more time off, considering yourself, not doing everything for the women, not doing everything for that. You could have been in the same place, or most of the time in a better place, at least health-wise.
There's this great movie by Alan Watts, I think it's called Music or something. It's like when you're in grade school or something, like you say, okay, now I will graduate, then this great thing will happen, and then you go to like the next level, and then you keep going until you go to university, and then like, oh, when I finish university, this next great thing is gonna happen, and then you're like out in the world, you get a job, start working as some tax man or like insurance salesman, and then they say you gotta reach this quota, then this great thing will happen, and then you're like in your 40s or something, you've reached the quota, but you're no happier than when you started. So it's not about the end, it's about the journey. The journey has to be good too.
Yeah, the journey has to be good, and there is no great thing that's going to happen. I do think Mgtow is that great thing that's going to happen to a lot of us, because it's going to show you, you can't have a better life, and that's important, and you can have a healthy life, and have a manly life, and not give all that shame. That shame is so destructive to us. If you don't do what they say, if you're not running around with the girls, you're automatically gay. No. Like I said, have you seen me? Have you looked at me? Nothing about me says I'm not having a good time. I'm not, just because I excluded the girls from my life. Boy, yeah, it's.
But I think the next level, Joe, guys, is this when you've come to that level of awareness as a MGTOW that you no longer have to justify yourself to anyone.
Right.
Somebody calls you gay, so fucking what? Okay?
Yeah.
If you are this and that and the other and you're not living up to this, you're a MGTOW, you're aware, you're awake. It won't make a damn difference. You want to call me a misogynist? You know what? I couldn't give a fart in rat's ass. Because ultimately, it doesn't, it's what it means to me. And it's how I'm living my life. And through living my life, how am I impacting and affecting others in a positive way? And I think that's the real essence of MGTOW and the evolution, the individual's evolution is to develop to a point where they don't have to justify themselves anymore. And that, gentlemen, I believe, is the essence of freedom right there that we find here in MGTOW.
That's why it's so important.
It's not about, like Bruce Lee said, it's not about daily increase. It's about daily decrease. Hack away the unessentials. I think that explains fucking volumes right there.
That's so important because you can be some guy that's just sitting in front of a computer screen and basically the rest of society is like pressuring you and you're watching Mgtow videos, but it's like there's such a small input in your whole world of information that maybe it doesn't feel real to you. So it's really important to talk with other Mgtows, I think, because and then in some sense it gets more real and it helps you make that transition into the Mgtow frame, if you will.
Yeah. And you're going to notice it every single day in your life once you start applying it. Just yesterday, hey Zeta, I didn't tell you, I finally caught up with my son after a year and a half. I spent some time with my son yesterday, and we had this exact same conversation. And he was telling me the ex was, trying to bring me down and trying to give him some bad opinion of me and everything. And I said, Dave, I can't do that shame in my life. I don't do it anymore, and she could take that elsewhere, but I just don't do that. And then it was the same old. Joe's an asshole. Joe's this. Joe's. And I said, yeah. And I said, that's just one of my other names they call me. It doesn't affect me.
Stuff like that, you should just think like they are saying bad slave.
Yeah, bad slave.
And but that's the education we're getting here in MGTOW, and that's what I'm talking about. Once you understand what's behind the tick, behind the talk, exactly. It's just going to slide right off you, man. And that's what I'm starting to find for myself, and that's my freedom, guys. I don't care anymore because I understand what's behind it all.
Yeah, you know what I told him? I told him, hey, come out to my house on the weekend. We're going to go fishing. And we're going to de-stress, and we're going to leave this stress that everybody's throwing on him about his life and everything. And I'm going to start teaching him how to de-stress in his life and have a happier, better life.
Yeah, that's great. If imagine like we as Mgtow men, we grow up, maybe we adopt some kid, and then we teach all this stuff to them.
Yeah, that's a big part of Mgtow. We talk about this a lot with the younger Mgtows. Just because you're a Mgtow doesn't mean you don't want to have a child or don't have a child around. And you can still impart the Mgtow, and it doesn't in no way screw his life up. You'll hear the feminists and everything, oh, you're going to make him into a woman-hating, this and that. No, that's just more shame. No, to teach a young man...
We're going to teach them how to do risk assessments and benefit analysis. Okay, but of course, oh no, that's misogynistic. That's mansplaining and all that shit. Fuck off.
I think I first came into contact with Mgtow when I was like 23 or something. But I could just imagine, if when I was, 13, if I had found it then, it would have made so much difference, I think.
There's
thinking and everything, because like until I found Mgtow, I was so stressed. I felt like I always had to perform and do better, and now I feel like I've just dropped all of that. Sort of thinking like I need to serve and make money, and now I can just think about myself. So it's really the earlier you get the red pill, so to say, the better, I think.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that one day about with all the stress on performing and everything. I think that in MGTOW, the way I think now, it de-stresses me, and my decision making, my performance, everything I do is more clarified. It's sharper. I make natural decisions now that am I going to make some money? Am I not going to make some money? Am I going to think about this? It led to a point in my life now that I do things so natural.
Exactly.
That I'm making money whether I like it or not, and it becomes not an issue no more. Get rid of that stress too. And
it's like your life in itself, Joe, becomes the meditation from the time you wake up, because you're aware of all these things, and that's the whole mindfulness aspect. I think that you've been trying to get across Reflections, right?
Exactly.
That's a meditation all its own. The way you live, the way you take your moments, and how you're doing those risk assessments, right? Those analyses, right? That's an important thing to do, right? And when it gets to that point that it just happens naturally and organic, right? That's the level you want to be at, right? That's when life makes sense, right? And speaking of meditation, and this was aired earlier on. The thing about the way each guy describes their so-called meditation, everything has one thing in common, right? And that is the power of being in the now, right?
Yeah,
and that's what it is.
Exactly.
Really looking and fostering a life out of being in the now. That's what That's what it's about.
Yeah, I make less bad decisions. Recovery. Do you ever think about the recovery that you have to, the stress and the work you have to put into recovering from one bad decision in your life?
Oh man, look at your breakups. That's the first one that comes to mind, Joe. I look at my breakups in the past when I didn't know better. Okay, it would take about a year to recover all that. And today, having found out, about your cortisol levels, which we were talking about, that's when it's at its highest. When you're breaking up, it can take up to a year and a half for all your neurochemistry to come to a balance. And namely, it's almost like you're recovering from an obsessive compulsive disorder when you're through a breakup. The cortisol levels are through the roof. Okay.
Yeah, not having to recover from them. That's where your pluses are going to come in life. You're going to get wealthier. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get healthier. You're going to make decisions more fluidly, better decisions. You're not making bad decisions because you're not getting blue pill advice anymore. And blue pill advice will destruct you. It will tear you apart. And one good decision can last a really long time and give you so much more happiness in your life because it's going to be it's going to last longer. It's going to flow into another good decision, and those pluses are going to start building up.
Yeah.
And it's just a natural thing that's going to happen in MGTOW. Because you don't have that one bad down, that down where you're going to fall all the way to the ground again. And then, oh, God, I got to make up for that now. I got to...
Before, when I was more blue pill, I used to get really stressed about school, for example, getting good grades, and then I got a job, and basically my first job I got a burnout, so I got these like panic attacks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got really depressed because I couldn't handle, the stress. So I just wish that that never happened and that I knew these things before. So then I could have avoided it, but yeah, I'm in a much better place now. It's like 5 years later or something.
Oh, God, yeah, I remember when the haystack happened to me, and it was the haystack of bad things. My father died. I lost my business. My wife left me. I got really sick, or I got, some people know about that, but I won't go into it right now. I was unhealthy. It was the haystack. There was no recovering from that, and it was just one bad thing left to another bad thing, and it goes to, when I was 20, if someone would have told me, you got the rest of your life to go to school, and it'll take you don't have to do it in 3 years. You can do it in 7 years and be much happier.
Right.
And you can use the school programs and everything they got and keep a part-time job and have more free time.
Yeah.
Just yeah, just rearranging your life a little better, a little more moderately, and not putting all that stress on yourself, because all that stress leads to them doing just exactly what you said before. There's some hidden benefit at the end. Okay, now I'm running into the next thing, and I'm jumping into the next thing, excuse me, looking for that hidden benefit that's never there.
Yeah.
And the hidden benefit was really just me looking at myself and looking inwards.
And this thing with the stress also is once you start getting it starts getting a problem, it's like it starts to lead to other problems because you start like maybe drinking more, or you start eating more.
It multiplies,
Yeah. So it's all the vices come then with the stress too. So it's like a negative snowball effect.
Yeah.
You just
It's a black hole of snowballing.
Hey guys, we're up to 23 viewers, so this is looking pretty good. We've had a good discussion here. I was just going to ask the chat room if there's any questions.
Yeah, I'm looking. Look over there, and Teacher Unbound. I'd like to say to Teacher Unbound, like if he ever wants to join the conversation, we can send him a link.
Absolutely.
What are some of these questions? No one's putting any questions in. They're just making comments.
They're just making comments, talking amongst themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But if they do have any questions, just put one in, and we'll
just put one in. I'll keep an eye out for it. We're on with our flow. We've been on for about almost 3 hours, just over 3 hours here, Joe. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. I did notice the comments in the last one where they sent me a notice saying that I had more comments in that than I've had in 6 months.
Yeah, so really good turnout from the guys in the chat room there. Really nice. This whole health discussion has really sparked a lot of questions. Something that we can consider for down the road. Hopefully, get Nico Chosky and Dark Knight is on hiatus right now. Yeah. But this would make for a follow-up podcast down the road. If anybody in the chat room has any suggestions, by any means,
I guess our prediction about Nico was right. It's like his last day of NoFap, and he's gone.
Yeah, we said that. Right? We weren't going to see him for a week after that. No, actually, Nico's on vacation. Isn't he on holiday now?
I think he's gone to his home country on vacation. I think that's the deal with Nico.
Yeah, he was saying that. I think he was saying that they're considering him not a good son no more because he's never coming around. Yeah, but he'll be on. Nico's always pretty active with us in here, and he's just taking a little. Dark Knight too. He's taking a little break for himself, and we can talk about that too, about taking a little break sometimes.
Yeah, taking a break. Yeah, I think that's an important topic, and that dovetails with health issues. So, I can, from my angle is, it can get toxic sometimes. Taking in what's going on with the different issues, and and I mentioned earlier that everything is happening cyclic. In Mgtow, we are a decentralized bunch. But yeah, Joe, it can get toxic, and there are times. I mean, I know what to do. Usually, when things get when my outside environment gets a little hairy, it's time to step back and do a constructive retreat. Okay, and everybody hears retreat. It's like, ooh, fight or flight. I got to get out of here. And all that. That's bullshit. It's actually a very constructive thing to do, and it's been practiced by many men throughout history. And that's taking a retreat.
Yeah. I would rather have a guy go away for like a month and get what he needs and support him on that and not be part of that blue pill crowd that's not going to support him. Go take that break for yourself. Go away for a month. And then I have that man in Mgtow for the next 10 years. And what we've seen a lot lately in Mgtow is guys, they're around here for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
They get the total stress because things aren't working out the way they think they should be working out, or the way their idealized Mgtow is. And then they're off. Okay, I'm no longer a Mgtow, and then we lose them.
Yeah. Well, there's many reasons for that. I think one guy that comes to mind who's done on the topic of doing a constructive retreat is Life After Women. Law.
Oh yeah,
He's also a meditator. You know, it's something reflections that might interest you. You know, and you know, he's perfect for that. I mean, a perfect example. You know, he put out some content, and then you know, and just you know, literally, well, not literally, but took some time off and you know, and worked on his meditation and his program, and came back and had some amazing videos. You know, after he came back after a couple of months, you know, really good content. You know, so there is a lot of value to that.
His name was Life After Women.
Life Law, LAW.
Yeah, Law's
okay.
Yeah, he was one of the bigger MGTOWs there for a while too. He came around at the beginning. It was Barbarossa, Stardust, and Law was a bigger, and Mundane Matt was pretty big around that time too. He's still around. Mundane Matt's still around, but he doesn't associate himself with MGTOW. Yeah. You know, it shows it just shows the thing that happened to his life that gave him peace.
Yeah.
And now he, you know, he doesn't have to. I don't feel he has to come around. I like to see him around a lot now. And Patrick Henry, I remember his Patrick Henry days.
That's right. Yeah, remember him then too.
Yeah. But he's a good example of, you know, after you get your cure, keep your cure.
Yeah.
You know, and do those things in your life that, because it's outside of, you know, these rooms here that you're going to make the most impact in your life. And if you bring that MGTOW sway, that big ass MGTOW dog now that you got inside you, and you're confident, that's where you're going to make the most impact on life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, take care of yourself while you're in these groups too.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah,
it's
we
like,
see
breaks are really beneficial. You can just it really helps clear your thoughts and change your perspective if you're not you know, up into things so much. So yeah, it's recommended.
Yeah, I just went through it myself a little while ago where I didn't think I had anything new to say that could help anybody, and I thought I was getting into that depression where there's nothing more I can add here. That's what I thought. And then after I took a little break on it, and then I thought it through. I looked at myself, and then well, here I am back still talking.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for me too. I get those periods because I feel like I put all the content out there on my channel now that a new man can come and he can get informed and he can, you know, use all these tools I've provided, and he can have a great life. So I don't really know what I should do, but there's always something more to do.
Yeah, there's always something more. That's what the getting active in MGTOW and getting like Stardust, and what the original point of the thing is, start focusing on pushing MGTOW. You know, you can do it very naturally in your life after you get the MGTOW tenets, and let's push this thing into reality. Let's you know, just keep it going. But if we keep losing guys like we are, it's not going to be good for MGTOW. And
yeah, but it's also this, I've heard, the best self-help movements is where the participators leave after a while.
Right. Yeah.
It's the bad one where they stay, you know. So maybe some people, they just get this information and then they just go out there and go their own way, so to say.
Yeah, that's a good thing, and that's what we've seen with Law. You know, if you're at that point where you can just sit down and and just honestly say it's not about drama, and it's not about nothing. It's just about, I get it, guys, and I'm gonna just, if I don't come around, just know that you left MGTOW on a good note. You know, and that gives us something to aspire to. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it gives me a good feeling to know that whatever I do, my videos will still be out there. Maybe someone will just stumble upon it and it will change their life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's what I've said. You know, just one word can change a man's life. One word. If he's receptive and he's capturing that, it can change his life forever. You know, Then again, if we use bad words, that can also turn somebody off again. But hey, that was the basis of our discussion, the lexicon of MGTOW.
The lexicon of MGTOW. That was where we were supposed to, and I think we did. We covered it very well today. We went over the whole.
Covered it well. We elaborated. We went off topic, but hey, we're MGTOW. We're decentralized. This is what we do, you know. And hey, when we show up here at Hangouts at this kind of podcast, you know, we might sway, but we do get our point across. And, please let us know if you haven't otherwise.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It gives us this room to talk in a male space.
Yeah,
and that's what men do. We're going to talk about all kinds of shit sometimes. As you notice when Nico's on, we're going to talk about some pretty deep stuff.
Yeah, pretty deep penis stuff.
Yeah, deep penis stuff.
Insights. Okay,
yeah, I was trying to avoid that word. But,
the P word. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we have to add that. Geez, it's lexicon day. Okay, so no W and no P. There we go.
We're censoring our sexual words. Yeah. I just had a chat.
Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I just had a chat the other day about something. He was asking me about the asexuality and everything.
Yeah.
And I wanted to further articulate that how the asexuality and the censoring of certain things leads to not having those arguments.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to have those arguments about being gay, about sex, and about that, because I pre-censored these things, and that's what we were talking about with the lexicon, about hedging off certain things that are toxic to MGTOW. And I thought with the big MGTOW, the cowboy image, or the big MGTOW dog image, or whatever way you want to do, you hedge these things off, and you're saying, no, I'm not going to talk about that garbage.
Yeah.
Because this is about
what people tend to remember about MGTOW, if they just stumble upon some video, maybe it's very hateful and pessimistic, so maybe they get bad vibes and then they sort of shut off. So maybe it's good to have that image.
Yeah, and it really, the IBMOR thing now is I don't mind that people start other groups, but it introduces what it tells people about MGTOW is there is racism in MGTOW, and I can tell you and I can assure you, and I can say it very vehemently, that there is no racism in MGTOW.
Well, and that's to say we're transcending all that. We're moving beyond that. We are men, and we are global, okay? And we speak different languages, and we do have English as a common language. But we're men. First and foremost, we're men. Right?
First and foremost,
well, actually,
we are
men.
men.
First, we're human first, and then we're men. When we have to balance that out, and you know, I mean, for me, it's when this racism thing came on, you know, that's the time I wanted to step out, Joe. You know, I wanted to go on retreat. It's like, and it's not because it's because I've had enough of the cycles every 6 months.
Every 6 months,
and it's like, geez, man, you know, what are we missing here, right? You know, it's time to move on. We're men.
Yeah, that's where the lexicon and moving into the being proactive for MGTOW and always keeping the subject on MGTOW comes in handy, because it leads us down that road we want to get to. You know, we want to bring this out to every man and every man in our country. Well, we want them to be a little bit red pill. They have the risk factors, take account for the risk factors in their lives, and start doing things for themselves. And I want to see men start living to 72, 73, 74, 75 years old, you know?
We have the infrastructure in place here to do that. I'm actually working that right now, you know, health-wise, you know, that's what our discussion was. Remember we talked about this, Joe, a couple of weeks back? We want to be men in our 60s and 70s who really, truly appreciate waking up in the morning, facing their day, and feel healthy, you know? Because the majority of men right now, 60 to 70, are not feeling that, right?
No.
Maybe a very small percentage do, but that's the reality of this. That here in MGTOW, okay? And you know, I'm actually working an aspect of that right now with my health.
Yeah, and this is for all men. We think about the Black Americans and the African Americans. the stress rate above these in these guys is just so high, and you hear about the hypertension in the black male community, and they die about 55 years old from heart attacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mgtow can help there. You know, Mgtow will help there, and you're not going to have all that hypertension, all that stress, and that's broad for all men. We can all do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's all here. We have it all, and if we don't have it, we're definitely going to talk about it.
Oh,
and that's
we'll
how we're
find out. Yeah, yeah, it's a click away. Finding out anything is a click away.
Is it a click away? Yeah. And that's the beauty of Mgtow. The more you get into it, the more you start working on yourself. I mean, you know, I'm prime example. Here I was working on something that's health related, and I not only did I get the answers from my doctors, but I got some expert Mgtows, okay, that I have access to, who've given me the input and the suggestion, and everything matches. Man, that's a formula right there to improve your life.
Yeah, it sure is. That conversation with Dark Knight, that one conversation with Dark Knight that me, you, and Dark Knight had, and how he explained how the testosterone levels, and that's going to change my whole life.
Yeah,
it's going to, and I hope that someday everybody can, you know, get that and start relating these things to their life, change their life, and live happier, healthier, stronger, and active, and make a difference in their life. Nothing makes it, you know, a defeated male, a broken male, a homeless male doesn't do nobody no good.
No, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, and that's what we're seeing more and more and more, as just defeated males that have no drive to do anything but go to work. And work is a hiding place. And
it is. Oh, geez. And how? And how?
I wanted to talk a little bit about that. When I was at my most stressed in life, guess where I went?
To work.
To work. So I thought that I was going to work my way out of that somehow. Yeah. And like I said, there was all these negatives that were building, and I could never work my way out of it. So it was reciprocal of work, disappointment, more work, disappointment, more work. You know, and it made me into that broken man at one point. And I think I've told my story enough to know that at one point, about 12 to 15 years ago, I was a homeless male, broken, dying.
Yeah, I remember that talk. Yeah.
And the rest of the world was happy to let me sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess what it took to and I want to talk about that book of The Power of Now.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle, yeah, saved my life. It was the only book that was in the van that I was living in.
And that's what it takes. Sometimes it's one book, one word, you know, that can change a man's life around. And that's the essence of Mgtow, really. You know, suit up, show up at the, you know, and eventually it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And that's that red pill awakening moment.
Yeah, that guy's so cool too. He's got such a cool voice, Eckhart Tolle. He's got that German. When he was younger and he did The Power of Now, an audio book, I remember just meditating to his voice. Yeah. It just sitting there listening, and I didn't see the red pill at that point. But the more philosophy I took in, the more learning about the male, and you know, Winninger and all that, and reading.
That's the downside or benefit with watching these Dhamma talks, because, you know, I've bing watching. He has a channel, Yuttadamu Bhikkhu. It's like a Thai monk.
Okay.
From Canada though, but he has such a
Sorry,
calm
what's his
voice.
name? What's his name? Reflections. Is he a bhikkhu?
Yuttadamu Bhikkhu.
Oh, Yotadama. Yeah, Yotadama Bhikkhu. It's been a while since I caught some of this.
His voice is so like calm that sometimes you just fall asleep when you listen. Like, so.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember.
There's a couple of good ones. I like Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a good one. He's the Vietnamese Zen master. He's always, I like turning him on, and for about an hour, and just he's got a very soothing voice, and what he's talking about makes sense.
Yeah.
Very simple language anybody can understand.
I got the comment also when I was having the talk with Stardust. It's like, that guy is such a chilled out dude, lol. I feel like falling asleep now.
Yeah, there are a couple of Mgtows that do that. Believe it or not, what's his name? Neil Unplugged puts me to sleep in a good way. And he's got a forceful voice, but his tone for some reason puts me to sleep in a good way. And yes, I do if you're listening.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's a sleeping pill.
Yeah, I notice Messenger does that once in a while. You ever have Messenger fall asleep during a chat? Just take it, and then that's great. When I was younger, we never had these men that just talked about men and talked about de-stressing and talked about. It was always go to work, be a man, man up, and that stuff. And that stuff, it's not relieving at all.
You know what? There's an irony in this too, guys. Okay, but everything that we've talked about. Okay, and here's the irony. Okay, everything what we talk about taking care of ourselves and all that. You know what? That makes for an ideal man that women are actually looking for.
Yeah, it is.
And we're not giving them a fucking time of day.
Yeah, can't have none of this.
You can't have none of this. I mean, if you really put yourselves in a female mind, I don't know why you would to, but sometimes you need to understand your enemy, right? Along those lines. And yeah, guys doing that, to their lives becomes an ideal man in the feminine psyche.
Yeah, because like if you have the Mgtow worldview, then you pass so many shit tests automatically.
Yeah, exactly. It's that analogy we talked about. If you go into a pub, a Mgtow goes into a pub. If you want to go into a pub and you're a man, and if you want to catch the attention of the waitresses, okay, or some of the women there, walk in there with a suit, sit down, ask if there's a newspaper, and when they come and ask you what they want to drink, I just have a cup of coffee. You want to draw attention right there? Well, there's a Mgtow right there. The guy that goes against the fucking grain.
Yeah. Isn't this another backlash that they have to deal with? They ask for the perfect man.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, but we're not thinking about you no more, and we're going to become the perfect men. And
exactly.
Guess what the backlash of that is now? You can't have the perfect man.
You can't have them. Okay. Here you've been asking, well, where's Miss? What was that line a couple years ago? What happened to Mr. Good Guy, or where have all the men gone? Well, here we are. We're taking care of ourselves, becoming your idealized man, and we want fuck all to do with you.
Yeah, we like it. We like it a lot, and we're going to keep it. we ain't giving it away anymore.
That's it. Yeah, that'll fuck with their noodle.
Yeah, it's irony.
It's wonderful.
It's irony. Hey guys, do we have anything else? It's 10 minutes to 3 p.m. here. Standard time. Have we covered everything? Is there anything else in the chat room there? I don't know, Joe. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking we pretty much covered anything, and it might be time to just kind of let it go because this is going to be a long edit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to...
Got 23. We had 24 viewers. We got 23 right now, so,
Yeah.
Thanks. Really nice to see that, the turnout that we can get.
It was really good talk, I think.
Yeah, so let's just wrap it up, and, the point is take care of yourself, man. Think about yourself. Meditate. Spend a little time with your body, with thinking about what you need, and you're going to be happier, healthier, and wiser.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say reflections. It looks like you've been doing quite a few talks about meditation and all that. This might, and also an interest from guys out there. I've also noticed there's been a lot of guys practicing in different traditions and different techniques and all that. you know, maybe that's something that we could have a hangout down the road on meditation and come up with an actual Mgtow technique, you know?
Yeah,
that we can formulate, you know?
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, I've trained that. Yeah.
You guys want to get together this week sometime and talk about meditation?
Well, you know, it's one thing about talking about meditation, but I was thinking about more along the lines of actual doing a hangout where you do 10 minutes of silent meditation as a group, and then you talk about it. Okay. Anybody can talk about meditation, but can you actually do it?
That's true. Yeah,
you know,
it's a good
along
idea.
those lines that I'm
that would be a good about my photo journey meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've used that too. I showed you those clips I took in Southern Europe. I mean, that concept, Joe, is really cool. It dovetails with the Zen concept. You know.
Do you think we should develop like a special Mgtow meditation or something?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there because you know, the first thing about
really
meditation,
cool idea,
when I tell guys about meditation, is put on your scientific hat.
I have a movie tip also. I was watching this movie Ex Machina.
Okay.
Or
Ex Machina.
I'm not sure.
Ex Machina?
Yeah. And I felt like it really gives you the feeling of the woman as viewing men as a utility just to get her way, and using all her tactics, you know. So I was actually thinking of making a video about it, just analyzing it from a Mgtow perspective.
Sounds
but it's good because
I'll be on the lookout.
It's one thing, you know, to being told how hypergamy and viewing men as utilities work, but you get the feeling from that movie, really, like it's like soulless robot, just like using their programming to get what they want.
Yeah. You know, it's with the meditation, with the spoken word, it's just a matter of changing a few words to Mgtow and men, and think about yourself, man, and then doing it in a calm voice. And we could do some of the spoken word things. I think I did one of those already, didn't I, Zita?
Sorry, I was just sidetracked there, Joe. Spoken of what? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, the spoken word, the guided meditation.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot to explore there, you know, and like I've been telling guys, put on your scientific hat when approaching meditation.
Meditation, maybe.
Sorry?
I could put out the video where I do a guided meditation. Maybe that would be helpful.
Well, you know what? Reflections. You know, you've got to. I mean, you're practicing right now. I mean, since I joined Mgtow, I had a 12-year practice, and I was practicing in a particular Zen tradition, Shikantaza, for anybody that might know that. You know, but I think you're pretty much leading the way there, and if you wanted to start doing hangouts for anybody that's interested, I know Klaus Funk had some questions about samadhi, right? And, you know, of course, all these terminologies, these Sanskrit terminologies, you know, it's not, I don't want to get into it now on the Mgtow channel, but, you know, if we can translate it to everyday common English, you know, and explore that. You know, these are hangouts that, you know, that might be worthwhile down the road.
Yeah, that would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
I think because if you meditate first for maybe 10 minutes, you can also discuss like your experiences, and then you can give advice if someone is having a problem or something.
Well, here's a suggestion. I mean, pretty much every meditation and you know, certain techniques that I've practiced in the past, you know, have one thing in common. Okay. You know, whether it's going to be a mindful approach, whether it's going to be an empty mind technique, you know, and I'm just naming techniques here, but they all have one thing in common. And, you know, if guys can show up at a hangout together, be live, but be silent for 10 minutes, the bell tolls after 10 minutes, and then we start a discussion about the experience and see what transpires from that. There's a lead right there in my view.
Yeah,
there are so many different techniques you can do. I mean, there's a practice called just sitting, and then you basically.
That's the one I do. Shikantaza. That's just it. Yeah. I mean, I can definitely talk about that. You know, when it's really not about talking, it's actually about doing. But anyways, let's not get into semantics.
On an image in your head, also you can do that, and or it's just follow the breath, or it's follow the breath and note your thoughts and sensations.
Yeah.
So that's basically it, I think, for the types. Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 3 key types, in the mindfulness sector from the Theravadan Buddhist sector. You've got the Vipassana, right? Where what you were explaining there, and it seems that you have some training in that. I trained in the Japanese and Chinese traditions of Zen and Chan, right? And I've also listened in on Thich Nhat Hanh, some of the wisdom coming out of there. But again, I think we should address that, and start explaining these terminologies, which really is about perfecting the technique. I'm a full supporter of an individual Mgtow discovering his own particular technique, which will be sponged in from, that's what I've done. I've pretty much created my own technique, right? Or what naturally, appeals to me, which is in the shikantaza and the empty mind sector, right?
Yeah.
That really works very well for me, and I'd be more than happy to explain that in a hangout.
I follow this Yuta Damos practice of following the breath and noting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anapanasati, as it's known, breath following. That was the original meditation that Siddhartha Gautama practiced. Anapanasati, watching the breath. Again, we can get into this in a separate hangout, guys.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get ready to wrap this live broadcast up here. If you want to continue talking, we can, continue talking on the format here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to end the live broadcast, and you Mgtow brothers, take care out there, and take care of yourselves. And thanks for showing up.
Thanks, Joe, and likewise, guys. Thank you very much, for your time. And this is becoming a very successful hangout on Sundays. Please keep coming back.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye bye.
Take care.